Hey guys, we just wanted to announce something awesome. Crown Royal is officially joining the show as one of our sponsors, which we're super excited about. And that means we're going to be looking forward to finding out who we give our crown to, because it's our town, it's our crown. The Leafs are in the playoffs, and we're looking for players every single day who play the Toronto way. We're talking about hard work, we're talking about skill, we're talking about finesse, and of course, some nice goals too. Wouldn't hurt. Maybe like 10, 11 per game against the Bruins. That would be super cool. Anyway, just want to give you the heads up that A, our town, our crown is a thing. Thank you, Crown Royal, for jumping on. And B, we're going to be looking for your suggestions. So make sure you send us who you think played hockey the most Toronto way, and we'll read them out every show.
Panago Pizza presents SCP. The Steve Dangle Podcast with your hosts, Steve Dangle and Adam Wilde.
Wow, what a week. What a week. And the thing is, we're halfway through the week at the time of this recording. It's Wednesday morning. But I think the craziest part of this is it's the thing we've been waiting for all season. It starts this weekend, and it's Steve playing on a line with Matt Sundin. Am I right?
Hey.
Everybody's been waiting for it. What we're doing. Steve will be participating in at least one of the games with Leo Vegas this weekend, and just going down and hanging out. And congratulations to the SDP winners who are in. Congratulations to you. It's amazing. And again, I'm just rerunning that clip in my mind. Matt Sundin once asked Steve what wing he wanted. How cool is that?
The right wing, until Matt gets frustrated and makes me the grocery stick.
Whatever it is, man.
That will be my position.
Just stand in front of the net and do whatever.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
So, we pay attention to our social media this weekend. We'll do a couple updates, especially Steve. And obviously, we'll have a little bit of a recap afterwards. And thanks to Leo Vegas for allowing Steve into the tournament so we could have first-hand experience about what it's like to play and receive passes from the silkiest passer ever, Matt Sundin.
Yes, proven best passer ever.
If Matt Sundin's pass was a Panago pizza,
Whoa!
which pizza would it be?
I would say it's saucy and delicious, right? Saucy
good.
and delicious pizza.
Yeah,
am I right?
yeah. Extra sauce.
Extra sauce. Now, that could be any pizza, really. You can always order extra sauce. It's organic tomato sauce from Panago Pizza. Did you know that?
And you know what the thing is about any pizza?
What?
It's delicious. Because it's pizza.
Well, if it's from Panago, anyway.
In Panago.
Yes.
I mean, all other brands bow down to our friends at Panago
They
Pizza
are
with their fresh
inferior
ingredients.
brands of potassium.
Well, and the thing is that like what I love about Panago, we've made Panago pizzas, Steve, Jesse, and I. Remember they let us back there?
Yeah.
You actually have to physically make the pizza. They're like, okay, order's coming in. I'm like, all right, where's the heat lamp? And they're like, nope, we actually make them here. Interesting.
Isn't it so nice?
It is.
So nice. Adam, you're brilliant.
No.
You're like, what would be the Matt Sundin pizza? And I'm like, IKEA meatballs on top of and you're like, actual thing that exists. I'm like, oh, okay.
Jesse, what would you say? What would your answer have been had I asked you?
What pizza Matt Sundin would be?
How would you compare Matt?
I would just pick my favorite pizza.
What is your favorite pizza?
Tropical Hawaiian.
It is.
Oh.
It is the bomb. Like it is
also
so good.
Close second, True Canadian.
True. Canadian.
It is the bomb. Also a bomb. His slap shot that won the game in overtime against the Ottawa Senators back in 2002 or whenever it was.
And you could say at that time that the Leafs were the Ottawa Senators boogeyman. They would beat them. The Ottawa Senators would beat the Leafs in every regular season game, and the Leafs would come in. And one of those series, the Leafs actually swept because Patrick Lalime has a 5-hole. And that was fun. Now, before we get to the the playoff brackets, which, by the way, Jesse's not done, and Steve...
No, I'm done.
Oh, you're done.
I want to do it now.
Oh, we can't do it now because we got to get to the topic du jour, which is, of course, the NHL Draft Lottery. We'll spend a little time there, and then we're going deep dive into the bracket challenge, and then we're going deeper dive into the Edmonton Oilers, who gave us yet another gift this morning.
Oh.
We'll talk about that in just a sec. But I think first off, I just want to say, if you haven't gone on this, I believe the time runs out today at 5 o'clock. So get on the bracket challenge.
Yes.
Please.
I'll tweet out the link again.
Yeah, I'll tweet it out too, Jesse. We'll probably not.
It's like 1,400 members.
I'll do it right now.
Whoa, he's Jesse. Anyway, last night, the New Jersey Devils, specifically Taylor Hall, won themselves a first overall pick.
Absolutely unbelievable. Absolutely unbelievable. And he even said, like, before the draft lottery happened, like, I'm making this happen. He sent out a tweet. He was obviously watching.
Yep.
Taylor Hall actually made this happen for the New Jersey Devils. So, for those of you who aren't keeping track, The Edmonton Oilers won the 2010 draft lottery. They had a very good chance of doing it.
Yeah, what was it, like 80% back then?
It was, I think it was like 48.
Okay.
It was extraordinarily high. So they won their draft pick to get Taylor Hall. Picked him first overall. Next year, they won it again. Picked Ryan Nugent-Hopkins first overall. Next year, won it again. They won 3 straight. Screwing up the draft lottery forever. The Blackhawks have the 3rd overall pick because the Oilers screwed it up for everybody. Do you realize this? In 2012, they picked Nhl Yakupov. Is there news?
Keep going. There's news, but keep going. Doesn't matter.
In 2015, they win the lottery, get Connor McDavid, even though they didn't have very good odds of getting him. Taylor Hall gets traded to the New Jersey Devils. 2017, they draft Nico Hischier. And this year, 2019, they have the 1st overall pick again. We don't know who they're going to pick, but it's probably going to be Jack Hughes.
And I like the Triple H line, the Hischier Hughes Hall line.
I didn't even.
Nobody
think
look
of
at Twitter.
that.
Neither of you look at Twitter.
No, I'm not about to look.
Neither
at Twitter.
of you look at your text messages.
No, I'm not looking at texts. I am simply.
This is big news.
No, I'm looking something up here. So, someone's YouTube channel, Ragin' Canadian. So last night I said, "What are
Canadian, I believe. Raging Canadian.
Yes. What are the mathematical odds of Taylor Hall's team picking the 1st overall pick, or getting the 1st overall pick, 5 times in 9 years? 10 and 6, this person argued, doesn't count. Taylor Hall wasn't on the Oilers when he was selected to the Oilers. That's how he became an Oiler. What? Yes, it makes sense. So, what are the mathematical odds? They did all the math. Took the percentage of this year, and this year, and this year, and the odds of it all happening. Do you know what the odds are? Take a guess. 1 in how many?
Well, first off, I'm sad that you didn't calculate these, because that would have been a fun fraction, whatever that was.
In, my answer was, I got door. Somehow I got letters.
I'm going to say, like, is it a 1 in stat?
Yes, they made it into a 1 in stat.
Okay, I'm going to say 1 in 125 chances.
I have a question about the thesis statement here.
Okay.
Okay. So,
Of course
when you don't like the answer, question the premise.
That sounds a lot like
That's a
no.
political move right there.
So, are they... Because once you have a draft,
Yes.
it doesn't affect the next draft, the odds of the next draft. Your odds don't change just because you won the previous draft. So the odds of everything happening consecutively it doesn't make sense mathematically because it doesn't change each time. It's like it's when you roll a die, your odds of rolling a 6 and a 6 and a 6 and 6 doesn't change each time. It's always 1 in 6.
Right. No,
So-
it's you have a 1 in 6 chance of rolling a 6 once.
Yes, and
But
the
what are
next
the
time,
odds?
No, the next time you also have a 1 in 6 chance of rolling a 6.
But what are the
So-
mathematical odds if you start from the beginning of rolling 2 6s in a row?
No, but that doesn't make sense.
Sure it does.
Because every time you roll it, your chances are 1 in 6.
So here's
That's correct.
So here's what I would say.
So if you try and do 2 rolls and you try and get 6s twice, it doesn't.
Here's the mathematical.
What is it like listening to the show as a smart person?
Here's the
gotta be really
mathematical
hard.
odds. You ready?
Okay.
50%. It either happens or it doesn't.
Whoa!
Am I right?
And that was the answer, by the way.
Yeah,
That was the correct-
50% chance that Taylor Hall is on a team that gets it first, gets the first overall pick in 9
like
years,
that.
5 out of 9 years.
I like that a lot better.
The correct answer from Ragin' Canadian, the mathematical odds.
Raging Canadian, please.
Ragin' Canadian. The mathematical odds of Taylor Hall's team picking first overall 5 times in a 9-year span. 1 in 9,816.
Well, Taylor Hall obviously knows something we don't, and we heard from Edmonton fans about what it could be. What was the secret to Taylor Hall's sauce, would you say?
Well, you see, his team always picks first overall. So, he's bad. Because, you see, if there's something I always call the reigning MVP of the NHL, it's bad at hockey.
Jesse,
Yes.
do you question that premise?
I think Taylor Hall's chances of being on the worst team in the NHL are always 1 in 31. Sometimes they're 1 in 30.
Wow.
And every year they're the same odds.
You know,
so
It's
the
50%.
idea of it.
He's either on the worst team or he's not.
The odds are, I think the odds are 50%. What are the odds people are annoyed at me picking at this? 50%. They are, or they are.
Here's the thing: the math guys will be like, "Yeah, we think he's cool anyway." Whatever. It's Jesse. Who cares?
No, so a lot of Oilers fans were like, well, that clearly means he's bad. He's only been to the playoffs once. So today I learned Oilers fans think Connor McDavid, Leon Draisaitl, and Ryan Nugent-Hopkins are all bad.
Why? How many times have they been in the playoffs?
Once!
Interesting.
But 2 rounds.
Oh,
2 rounds. That's the new banner that they've hung up since the 80s. Well, I guess in 2006.
since the 80s.
They won the Western
the
Conference in
80s.
2006.
Yeah.
Amazing.
You know, hey, Leafs fans, at least we won a series.
True. I mean,
Amazing. Dun, 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 dun. What was that parade like, everybody? Was that great? I bet it was. Did it go all the way through the mall? Was part of the parade one of the roller coasters in the West Edmonton Mall? Wee!
oh man.
Have
Who
you seen
cares?
that in person?
West Edmonton Mall?
The
have.
roller coaster?
Yeah.
You're,
I haven't been on it.
You're this close to the ceiling of the mall.
It is extraordinarily dangerous.
I am, as a tall person, I am afraid that they haven't measured that for an extraordinarily tall person to ride, and I might hit my head on the top of the mall.
Yeah, so there's always you must be at least this tall to go on
Yeah.
a ride. Have you ever been too tall for a ride?
I can't ride the one where you're dangling your feet at Wonderland.
Isn't that called the Bat? Or no, Vortex.
No.
Is that what it's, I don't
Vortex
know.
through the mountain. The one through the mountain.
It used to be Tomb Raider. And then they had to change all the name because they lost all the
Because it
Paramount
wasn't Paramount
rights.
Canada's
Yeah,
Wonderland,
so whatever Tomb Raider is called now, the one where you're strapped in from the top of you and your legs are dangling. Oh. There's a too tall height and a too short height.
you're too
and
tall?
I'm too tall for it because my legs would hit whatever is dangling. there.
And
You know,
forget all that.
It's too bad.
Forget all that
It's too bad
forever.
it's not Paramount Canada's Wonderland anymore because they could have had a bar rescue ride, which is my favorite show on Paramount Channel. Just thought I'd let Shut it down!
Yeah.
It's disgusting!
Yeah, what would the ride be?
It would just be John Tapper yelling at you about how disgusting your bar is and how you need to clean it up or I'm out!
So you go into the ride and you stand there and you get yelled at.
And a middle-aged bald guy yells at you for 2.5 minutes until you accept your failure and you get off and feel better for it.
What is
Good
it called
ride.
now? I forgot.
It's called Paramount Channel because it was Spike TV.
No, the amusement park.
Oh, it's just called
It's
Canada's
Canada's
Wonderland.
Wonderland.
Oh, so it's
They
not
just took out
Paramount Canada's
Paramount.
Wonderland.
What is the?
What did you think
Did
it
you
was?
forget it was called Wonderland?
No, I thought it was
Canada's
Paramount
Funnyland.
Canada's Wonderland, but it's not anymore. It's called
It's
something else.
Wonderland.
How long
It's
has it
just
been since
Wonderland.
you've been?
Oh, time. It's
Now,
been a long
do you
time.
go?
I was
on are you-
traumatized as a kid.
Are you a roller
so-
coaster guy?
No, I'm not a roller coaster guy, and also it once took from East Scarborough, where we grew up. How long does that drive to Wonderland take?
Oh man, in the summertime when if you're trying to get there for like 8 or 9 a.m. before everybody gets there with traffic, an hour and a half
Okay,
can be.
I think there must have been an accident, and trying to get into the parking lot, it once took my family 3.5 hours.
Yeah, that'd be it for me.
And my dad, we haven't even gotten into the park. We're not even close, and he's already saying never again.
Remember how I had 6 months off last year?
Yes.
So Caprice and I went because somebody gave us tickets, and we're like, "Wow, this is great. We should take advantage."
this is gonna be wonderful.
So this is our date, and in retrospect, we maybe should have stuck it out because now she's pregnant and we won't be able to do stuff.
Right.
But at that
Unless you're bringing
time,
the baby.
that hadn't happened yet. And so anyway, we got there and we're like, all right. And then it was a perfectly blue sunny day, and it's like a Thursday, and we're thinking, who goes on a Thursday? Boy, were we wrong. And then sunny day turned into, wow, that's a big looking cloud. That's ominous. We
Yep.
get into our first line.
Yep.
It soaks us, and we stand there for an hour in like underneath the thing. And I finally looked at her. I'm like, I'm cold and I'm wet, and I just don't feel like this is gonna work out. And she's like, yeah, we should get out of here. So we went. We lined up. We didn't get on the ride because they shut the ride down, and we stood there for an hour and then left. That was the last time I went to Orlando. That was last summer.
Terrible.
Terrible time.
That sounds wonderful. That's such a tourist attraction thing. That always happened at the zoo. because all these geniuses would see the weather and be like, well, the weather's great and it's a weekday, so no one's going to go. So you have all these impulsive people trying to get to the same place at the same time.
I'm going to the zoo this summer, for God's sakes.
I'm
I'm going.
too. I haven't been for years.
There is not a day from like May till September that Wonderland isn't packed.
It's true.
No, it's insane.
Every day there's people there.
It's insane.
Yeah.
Except for there's a media day. But media day always happens too early.
Yeah.
And it's very cold. So you're on the, like, I remember being on
Getting wind chill.
the Mindbuster, and like it was probably 4 degrees. And you just.
I've been to media day every day for the last, I think, like 4 years. It's always a little cold, but it's always fun because there's nobody there.
Yeah,
it's the
that's
one day of the year where there's nobody there because it's
Cartman.
exclusive.
Your Cartman with his own park.
Yeah,
Sweet!
that's a really good episode.
That episode
That's an
rules.
all-time episode.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, NHL Draft Order, we got the Devils first, Rangers second, Blackhawks, because of course, third. Who would they put in their outdoor game if they did not draft in the top 3? Colorado Avalanche from the Senators at 4, which is a real shame. We missed the NHL is so predictable that Taylor Hall's team, of course, got the first overall pick.
Of course.
We could have had the maximum chaos result. They should have rigged it. It should have been the Colorado Avalanche going first overall because they're in the playoffs.
Yes. And hey, you know what though, Adam? Can we give credit where credit's due? What a season for the Ottawa Senators. What a season. 3 regular season wins against the Toronto Maple Leafs, and they only gave up the 4th overall pick.
Wow.
What a season.
They're not even drafting in the top 15. Do they have a first round pick this year? Did they get one in one
I
of the
believe they do.
Columbus?
Columbus? Yes, Columbus.
Wow.
Yeah.
They're one of those teams that has a big old bunch of conditions. Apparently, there is a scenario where the Rangers could get 9.
In the next 9 picks this draft.
9 first-round picks over the next 3 years or something stupid.
Wow.
Yeah.
You know what? Low key, the Rangers are doing an incredible job. And it's weird that Sather's stepping aside, but I also feel like he's probably just like, yeah, I'm done now.
Well, and he had his successes, and are the Rangers not heading in the right direction?
Yeah.
No, he did his job.
Glenn Sather, one of the best GMs in NHL history?
Well, he got Gretzky, so yes.
But also, yeah, I mean, if you go back and you look at the story, and we won't get into it now, but go back and look up how the Oilers got Gretzky.
How the Oilers got Gretzky, but to me, one of the coolest stories is how they won another one without him.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, that 90 team.
You talk about, doing what you got to do to get by and then still finding success.
Really, honestly, in 1990, the Calgary Flames should have won a second one. You look at the talent on that roster: Doug Gilmour, Joe Nieuwendyk, Mike Vernon, Al McInnes. It's like Hall of Famer, Hall of Famer, Hall of Famer, Hall of Famer. I bet you the Calgary Flames have more Hall of Famers on their 90 team than the Oilers did, because there's no Coffey, there's no Gretzky. Is Curry on the Kings at that point, or did he win?
I think he was still with the Oilers.
Kevin
Lowe was. I know the picture.
Yeah, there you go.
Do you think any of the players on that team were forced into retirement?
Did they have retirement handed to them? Interesting.
No.
Good question. I don't know. Lanny McDonald did the season before. He played half the games and then was randomly dressed for Game 6 and scored.
Wow. And also, it's important to mention, that year the Flames had all of their top 10 best players ever.
They did. They really did. Except for yeah. And then
except for who?
No, you're right.
Shut up, the both of you. I hate you.
And then Jerome McGinley at 11th came along in 1996 in a trade for Joe Nieuwendyk.
Then ruined the franchise.
No, how dare you?
It's funny that Flames team. Is there one guy from that Flames team that won the cup and that had that great run in the 80s, an amazing run? And should have won more cups. Like the Jets and Flames really got robbed in the 80s because of how good the Oilers were.
Yep.
But if you go back and you look at that Flames team, is there any player on that team who is more beloved than Iggy? And I don't think that's the case. I just don't think anybody looks at that Oilers team or that Flames team and goes, because they all sort of broke their heart. Like Joe Nieuwendyk broke the Flames' hearts. Yeah. Doug Gilmour did. Al McInnes did.
Brett Hull was traded.
For what a bad trade that was.
Theron Fleury was at least there for.
Yeah,
a long
and you
time.
know what? He was beloved in Calgary. Still is. Colorado Avalanche at 4, Kings at 5, Wings at 6, Sabres at 7, Edmonton Oilers at 8, Ducks at 9, Canucks at 10, Flyers at 11, Wild at 12. 13 was the Florida Panthers, Arizona Coyotes that got 14th, and the 15th pick, as you would expect, is the Montreal Canadiens. Basically, everybody did okay except for the Blackhawks, who did super good, and the Devils, who did super good. Now, I do want to quickly mention a couple things here.
Is this the lottery or the news?
No,
I'm excited
there's
for
some
the
news
Jeez.
here that you need to know about. So,
Okay.
we mentioned Buffalo Sabres. Pick number 7. They just fired Phil Housley. And by the way, there are, I think, as of Coach Q's hiring in Florida, which we'll get into a little bit later in the show.
Yeah, jeez. So
there are
much has
still
happened.
5 teams, I believe, that don't have a head coach.
Really,
Right.
that many?
And the Oilers don't have a GM and a head coach, which is great because you can't hire a coach till you hire your GM, which means the Oilers will get whatever's left. So this is interesting.
Just one thing on the draft lottery. Los Angeles finished second last. They are picking 5th.
Yeah, that sucks for them.
And Detroit finished fourth last. They're picking 6th. So
That was like the lowest they could go,
Yeah,
basically.
they got shafted.
two teams got shafted.
Whatever. Nobody feels bad for LA and Detroit. They've won
And
enough.
also,
Like, seriously, sorry guys, but you've won a few things. Okay, come on, no one feels bad for you. It'd be like the
Minnesota got
oh no,
shafted.
the Blackhawks lost something. Oh no, like no one feels bad for the Hawks.
oh,
Come on.
and did you see what Stan Bowman said yesterday?
No, what do you say?
He said 2 unbelievable things. One was that he had a dream recently that the Blackhawks were going to pick 3rd. The second was the last time the draft was in Vancouver, like it is this year.
He almost traded Brandon Saad back for Artemi Panarin.
Not
No?
quite.
Oh, damn.
Not
Okay.
quite.
All right.
Last time it was in Vancouver, they had the 3rd overall pick. It was 2006, and they used it to select Jonathan Taves.
Wow.
Pretty big year. Could be a huge year for the Blackhawks. I'm glad something finally went right for them.
Now, there were a lot of teams in on Coach Joe Quenneville. Sabres rumored to be among them. Panthers, obviously. Apparently, the Kings were interested. I mean, how could you not be? He was the top guy. He was the Babcock of this season.
He's arguably the best coach.
Yeah,
And he was without a team.
and
The
and
Leafs
it's,
missing the playoffs or being eliminated in the first round of the playoffs twice were interested.
I mean,
You know, if it happens, they were interested.
I mean,
I was hoping he'd just come to Toronto for maximum chaos. But no, Florida gets him. And you know what's interesting about Florida doesn't have to pay his full salary, I believe, the first 2 years. But after that, they're on the hook for $6 million. And I'm interesting to see the Florida Panthers, with all 7 of their fans backing them up, paying that much money.
throwing around their might.
It's great to see. Now, their owners are absolutely obscenely rich. But it's great to see the Panthers do that. Because honestly, hockey can work in Florida. The Panthers have just never had a great ownership situation. And since they have had a great ownership situation, have not had a great directional situation. Now, I mentioned all of that to mention this. So, lots of teams without a coach. Buffalo Sabres this morning. It was reported that the Buffalo Sabres were closing in on a deal with Todd McClellan. So I would
And?
like to read the confirmation.
Oh, is this the news?
Barring a last-minute snag, Todd McClellan is on track to become the next coach of the Los Angeles Kings. So apparently Buffalo
Wow.
had a deal somewhat in place.
Oh, not again!
Official announcement could come as early as today. Understanding is McClellan accepted the role in principle. Final touches are being put on a 5-year deal.
Oh, it happened again. Oh, Buffalo.
The Sabres were the odds-on favorite as of like 5 a.m. this morning.
oh gosh.
And it is 10:44.
Buffalo. That was the news.
Yeah.
Adam?
Did you know that?
No, I didn't.
No.
I was looking up at the clock and going, okay, it's between 10:30 and 10:45. I think the Leafs are on the ice right now. Someone's missing. My first thought was someone's missing.
Austin Matthews. No.
I was, all the names were running through my head. Oh,
That's funny.
something bad happening to the Sabres isn't news. I survived. I'm fine. Oh my God, Adam. Poor Sabres.
Yeah. Well, Mike Harrington's got a bit of a drive ahead of him.
So
Dear Todd
That's
McClellan,
ruthless, Adam.
how's it feel to kick ponies? Actually, I stole that joke directly from Rachel Dory. Please give that to her.
I had a pony. My sister had pony.
so who's left for Buffalo?
Randy Carlyle.
Oh,
I just thought it was hilarious.
That's Alain Vigneault.
What I thought was hilarious. No, Alain Vigneault is not going to Buffalo. Come on.
Okay. All right.
No, what I thought was hilarious, and somebody tweeted this last night, and it's so true. They're like, wow, Todd McClellan goes from the Edmonton of Canada to the Edmonton of the States. And I was like, oh. It's like, that is harsh.
That's not true. The Kings don't have McDavid.
Now,
Actually, you know who? So I had a signing at a Costco in Oshawa yesterday, and let me tell you, folks, it was sparse.
Yeah, because didn't you have to have a Costco membership to get into the signing?
Apparently you could have done you can get like a day pass or something. I didn't know.
Okay.
And I had already done an Oshawa event, so there weren't that many people. One of the people I met there, decked out in Kings gear. It's always great to see a weird team's gear on someone. And when it's 2 items, not just one. Jacket and hat. So I see this guy walking by with a Kings jacket and Kings hat, and he walks up to me, he goes, "Steve, hi, I'm Tyler Toffoli's dad."
What?
Wow.
No way!
Yeah.
That's wicked.
It was pretty cool.
Did he buy a book?
The Oshawa Costco. He did not. I thought he was going to get a book.
Did he just want to meet you?
He just said hi.
When this
All right.
happens, do you immediately go, okay, what have I said about their kid?
Yeah.
Yes, but not with Tyler Toffoli. I was like,
No.
wow.
Or at least the team. Like, we've said some harsh things about the Kings.
He knows.
I think
I
Tyler,
don't think anyone on the Kings is like, hey, we were great.
Yeah.
is Tyler Toffoli now on the Canucks, or is that Pearson? That's Pearson.
Yeah,
No,
Tanner
yeah.
Pearson,
He pinged around.
Okay, so I just wanted to give you that information because
That's
the Buffalo
fun.
Sabres can't catch a break. Now, I don't know that this is the case, but I have heard things that, I mean, like Rasmus Ristolainen, I don't think is going to be back. But him saying maybe we can motherfuck ourselves or something like that, whatever he said.
That was the quotes. We need to be harder on each other. Rasmus Ristolainen is a great argument for analytics. Because this guy puts up a ton of points. Mm-hmm. You know? A lot of the people we pick on are guys who, they're looked at as defensive stalwarts.
And they're not.
And they're very not.
Like when they tried to sell us that Ron Hainsey was this defensive magician.
See, he's not bad, though.
Okay, but that's not a magician.
Yes, right.
Nobody goes to see Chris Angel, average magician.
I should say for years Ron Hainsey was looked at as that guy. But there are players who put up a ton of points who are not good at defense.
Brent Burns.
Well, he is good enough at offense that it negates it a little bit.
Fair enough.
Rasmus Ristolainen is not. And he's a great example of a player who has all kinds of raw tools. Oh, my God. There's been a few goals this season. Spectacular. And I think he put up close to 50 points last season. I don't know what it was this season. Dude's not good. And did you see all the tweets? I think it was from Mike Commodore. Rasmus Ristolainen.
What did he say?
Well, he won the
Pack
green
your shit?
jacket this year. For having the worst plus-minus in the NHL.
Oh,
Is that
funny.
an award?
Yeah, the green
Is that what they
jacket.
call it?
Having the
Yeah,
worst
because the
plus-minus.
Masters.
Oh,
That's very
the
funny.
lowest score.
That's really funny. That's good.
Cheeky.
He's a little scamp, that Commodore, especially when he gets into the booze.
Yes.
But yeah, no, I think it's going to be very interesting to see what Buffalo did because their general manager Jason Botterill doubled down on the Ryan O'Reilly trade being a good one, and I said at the time, I'm like, well, it gives them actual NHL players, but having one
And picks.
and when we said it at the time, it was like, Patrick Berglund, who gave up $5 million to just leave. By the way, when are we going to get a follow-up on that?
Yeah.
So there was an article in Sweden that came out, I want to say a month later. I don't think he was in the right headspace. I think it was that.
Was it like a mental health thing?
That was the impression I got. I don't know if he straight up said it.
Okay.
But, well, who just walks away?
That's weird, right? I don't think that's part of Buffalo, but it may be just the psychology being traded. Like I've heard that there was a player traded at last year's trade deadline, and I won't say who had to be sent home. So they could be with their family for a couple of days in between, and they missed all the practices, and everybody thought they were injured because they were in tears in the dressing room and stuff. It's not easy. Not easy.
Dude, it probably happens a lot more often than people know. Or people just play through it and, it's going to take a while for the chemistry to sink in. Well, maybe it's not chemistry. Maybe they're miserable.
Yeah.
Because,
and it might not be on the Sabres, but where I was going, I guess,
Right.
is that trade looks worse now because Berglund's not there.
Right.
Had he had a rebound season and scored 20 goals and 40 points, which is maybe the maximum you could have expected from him, that might look okay.
Yeah.
Tage Thompson was not.
Oh.
Wow. I don't know. Man, he said
stat.
when he said he wanted to leave, because they weren't giving him the time. Now you understand why the St. Louis Blues weren't giving him the time.
That's always the saddest thing.
Oh.
when a player complains, hey, listen, all you got to do is give me a shot, man. And then they get the shot, and nope.
And for
not
them,
working.
He was sent down towards the end of the season when it was already done. Like, they had nothing to play for, and they still sent him down. That was interesting.
Dude, who did the Sabres acquire from Vegas? Or, no, the Ducks. The defenseman.
For Shea Theodore? Or?
Shea Theodore.
Yeah.
That is...
That's another one where, like, he didn't play last year, right?
Well...
He was sent down, or?
It was a weird situation with Vegas, right? Because Vegas had all those contracts and whatever.
Yeah.
But that's one that, like, is that going to bite them?
Don't know.
But I was just thinking, like, the Sabres have some talented forwards. Their bottom six is a bit of a mess. But I'm just trying to think of who moves the puck. Mm-hmm. Ristolainen, I think, can, but is a mess defensively. Shea Theodore can. I don't like him as much as other people do. And obviously, Dahlin is a rookie.
Yeah.
I think they need to improve that back end. And also, they didn't get the goaltending they thought they were going to get.
No, and isn't it funny, the goaltending when they needed last year from Robin Lehner went to the New York Islanders.
New York, yeah.
Well, it just seems like there's something poison in the Buffalo Sabres dressing room. Like, we should just come out and say it. Like,
Yes.
It's Ryan O'Reilly saying last year that he lost his love of hockey. And
That's awful.
Now, Robin Lehner's situation's a little different. He got sober. Like, that's a completely different set of circumstances.
Yeah.
But you have to think that, and I would never say that the problem would be exacerbated by the dressing room or whatever. But he was obviously not in a good place, and the Sabres dressing room was obviously not in a good place. So not a good mix. You probably just want to move on and get a fresh start.
Yeah. I don't think there's anything wrong with saying, if you have personal issues going on in your life, and also everyone around you is miserable, it's not going to exacerbate the problem.
Well, yeah, you can just read Rich Clune's article about what happened in Nashville, right? Like the Players Tribune one.
Yeah, it's been a while.
It has been a while, but it's an interesting. Listen, I'm not going back into the details because I forget everything, but it was an interesting read. And there's a guy who would have been seen at the time as trouble.
Yeah.
A guy with substance abuse issues that he's been quite open about, who's come to Toronto and been nothing but incredibly positive for all the Marlies. So, it's sometimes it's that change of scenery and change of life.
Well, and Leonard, like, it's not just that. It was that. It's a new team, new coach, new city, new goalie coach. Even it's a really, really good situation for him.
So
it's lost in all the plastic snake bullshit.
Yeah.
It's a really positive story there in Robin Lehner.
Yeah, absolutely. So I guess, looking at the it's going to be a good draft this year. It's going to be fun to watch. But, I mean, really, so now that draft thing's over, let's talk about the playoffs that really matter. Okay,
Yeah, here we go.
So bracket challenge is up. I hope you've entered. You can check out mine for the right answers, Adam Wild's Superior Bracket, because that's what it's called. And I'm right at the top because my name's Adam.
I think mine is Steve Dangle's Dumb Bracket.
Well, it shows how much confidence Steve has in his. Now,
I am extremely unconfident this year.
beginning with the West.
Yeah.
We're going to start with the first-seeded Calgary Flames and the wild card barely scratched their way in Colorado Avalanche, who have the 4th overall pick. Should have been the first, though, just to pay Eugene back for all the fun.
Yep.
Colorado, Calgary, starting with Steve and Jesse. Doesn't really matter who of you goes first. Who did you pick?
The Colorado Avalanche, heading into the playoffs, are the second hottest team in the National Hockey League, 7-1-2 in their final 10. They had to fight and claw to get that spot. Now, I saw that Semyon Varlamov, I think, is going to start game 1, and I think that's a huge mistake. He hasn't been great.
And Grubauer was the guy, wasn't he?
Philip Grubauer's been fantastic.
Which is what he did for Washington last year.
Yes, so it's funny. He might... It's possible in this series Varlamov gets lit up for a game or two. Then Grubauer comes in, and who knows, maybe they go on a run of 4 straight, just like Washington. A lot of people I've seen have Colorado potentially upsetting Calgary. And a big reason is the goaltending X factor. Did I mishear on the playoff preview show last night, or did they say Mike Smith is going to be Calgary's guy?
Mike Smith will be the starter.
Are they out of their minds?
They're out of their minds.
They're out of...
But you know what?
Dude.
If there was... Here's what the Flames are doing, right?
Right.
First off, hockey men. Never discount hockey men.
Well, Mike Smith, playoff experience.
They will do the hockey man thing, right? But if I am a coach and my guy is Rittich, and I would imagine that Bill Peters would be like, nah, Rittich is our dude, without saying it. I bet he's getting pushback from management and just getting a sense of the way Brian Burke thinks this year, like just him talking. I disagree with a lot of what Brian says, but it does give you a little bit of insight into what's going on at the top of the Calgary Flames organization, right? He put those people in place.
I've had the chance to talk to Burke a few times behind the scenes. We have to get him on this podcast.
Oh, I want to.
Merrick was doing a Sportsnet Live thing with him recently, and he's actually so insightful.
Of course he is.
But like when you give someone 30 seconds, they just hammer you.
He's also he might be the most insightful, and he also is the most impactful in 30 seconds. That's a gift, guys.
Yeah.
Agree or disagree, Brian Burke's made headlines. Now,
but there's so many times where I see him on TV, I go, what are you talking
I agree.
about?
I 100% agree.
But at least it catches my attention.
Exactly. Now, Brian's got, obviously, a way that he looks at the game. And I think a lot of the guys at the top of the Flames organization, love it or hate it, agree with that to an extent. Maybe not to the extreme Berkey extent, but there's a lot of that. And so those guys would always default to, well, he's got the experience. If I'm Bill Peters, this is the game of least risk. I am the first-seeded team, and if they're pushing me, and I'm assuming that Bill Peters wants to start Rittich, which I think he does.
I would hope so. He's the better goalie.
Yeah, I would think that if there's a game to do it, it's the first game. And the reason is they lose, and Mike Smith's bad. He never has. Question's gone. It's gone. You never have to answer it again.
Why have okay. If you want to have finality on it, good.
Should have been solved during the regular season, though.
It should have been solved during the regular season. I thought it was, and you just went through this with Brian Elliott. Are you seriously going to do this again? No, if they start Big Save Dave and all of it, he might not give them spectacular goaltending, but he'll give him Antti Niemi in 2010 with the Blackhawks.
Which is all you need. Give me league average goaltending on the Calgary Flames.
Won the Stanley Cup. And the Avalanche are no joke. They've been great down the stretch, but if the Flames get middle-of-the-pack goaltending, they should win this series.
Well, and it goes to show, too, because of how good Grubauer has been,
after a terrible start.
Yeah, the antiquated hockey man thing in Colorado exists as well. You go with the hot hand. I don't understand. Varlamov's had good and bad seasons, but Varlamov's not been, what is he, the 10th best goalie in the league at best?
Not anymore.
No, not even anymore.
Not anymore. So, at one point, yeah, he was a top 10 goalie for sure.
So Grubauer, you look at and you go, well, why wouldn't we just traded for this guy? Why wouldn't we do this?
Yeah, we gave up a decent financial return for him too.
Yes, huge, because they bought out Orpik. So I wonder,
who's back on the caps.
It's so funny because it looks like, assuming Varlamov, if Varlamov has a good game, then I'll eat my words on this one. But this is Colorado's chance to take advantage of Calgary, and they're starting the lesser of their two goalies.
You know what? Should be a real fun series.
I think
Game one should be real high scoring.
I think you guys are very overrating Colorado.
I don't think they're very good. No, I think the Calgary Flames are going to fucking kill them. Sorry.
Yeah,
I give them one game. I say the series is over in 5. Calgary Flames absolutely. This is Calgary Flames go, see you later.
I think all of that talk about Calgary,
dude, they're one line.
Oh,
it's Nate McKinnon and the guys
outside the top line. How many 20-goal scorers do they have?
0.
They have one.
One
guy. It's Soderberg.
Yeah.
He had 23.
Who you would hope would get 20 goals.
Yeah, and then their second line has Tyson Jost, who was sent down to the AHL in the middle of the year.
I can't believe he was sent down.
Yeah,
because
he wasn't good. And then Andrew Berkshire wrote a great article about this series. He's writing how Colorado has a crazy high turnover rate in the neutral and defensive zone. And then Calgary specializes in odd man rushes. They lead the league in odd man rushes.
That's amazing.
And that's exactly where the Avalanche struggle. I don't think it's going to be close at all.
If I may say something, the Colorado Avalanche, since the 2013 Leafs, have reminded me of the 2013 Leafs.
A little bit. Well,
it's
the 2013 Avalanche.
Live and die on 2 or 3 scores and a goalie.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
So I'm with you, Jesse. I think I don't think they're a good team. I think they got lucky in a group of bad teams, and they got in. Somebody of the bad teams had to get in. Nobody looks at the Western Conference and says, "Oh no, they got robbed." Nobody. Oh no, the Coyotes got robbed.
Should have stuck in there.
Man, if only the Wild could have kept it. No, the Ducks. No one is looking at that group in the Western Conference and saying it gets really weak around 6, 7 in the Western Conference. Nobody's like, oh no, the Kings, they got robbed. Nothing.
Also,
not true.
In the 4 major sports, well, I guess 3 major sports, if you pick a 8 seed to beat a 1 in the first round, you're trying to lose.
Yeah.
I don't think
Right.
that's a safe bet at all ever.
I don't think Colorado's going to win. And by the way, that point, Friedge there, he's a great example of a guy who never played the game, who understands the game.
Oh, Berkshire.
Oh, that was Berkshire who
The
said that.
offensive, the turnover in the
that was
neutral zone?
Friedge.
No, that's Berkshire.
Well, Berkshire's a great example of it, too.
There you
Who's
go.
that guy? Who is that?
Who's that
Never
guy?
heard of him.
No, Calgary's going to win. I'm just trying to make it interesting here. I think Colorado irks out maybe a couple, but they're going to have a really hard time beating Calgary at home.
Steve Dangle, the eternal optimist, except for when it comes to the Leafs.
Hey, just you wait. Just you wait. We're not there yet, are we?
No. San Jose Sharks, Vegas Golden Knights. Sharks are the 2nd seed. Knights are the 3rd seed. What do we like?
The winner of this series could very well go to the Western Conference Final.
I think the complete opposite.
Yeah, I agree.
I think whoever wins this is done after this.
Yeah.
It's the hardest series to read.
Whoever wins this gets curb stomped by Calgary.
Yeah.
It's such a hard series to read. The Sharks should be such a complete team. The not having an answer on Carlson is terrifying. They just don't have an answer on the guy. He played one game at the end of the season, and I want to say February 16th was his final one, and the guy couldn't turn.
I hate to do this.
He couldn't pivot.
Eric Carlson has lost a lot of money this season.
Oh, yeah.
I don't think
You're offering that guy 11 times 7?
I don't think you do.
11 times 8?
I mean,
You're
think
nuts.
I think the Panthers do.
You're nuts.
I think that's low key. I think the Panthers, if they swing and miss on Panarin, Eric Carlson's a Panther.
What if the Leafs could get Carlson for like $7 million?
Well, yes,
It'd be
but that's at least $4 million less
that'd
than
be
people
fun.
are predicting.
That'd be fun.
Oh, it'd be so fun.
There'd be no way. Although, if I were them, I would make the presentation. Why not?
Show up, make it harder
You
for
get
other
Mitch
teams.
Marner to go on the ice.
Yeah.
Hey, it's me again.
Hey, noted free agent signer Mitch Marner.
You scratch out Tavares, you write Carlson over it. It's the same video.
What's his
Dubas
number again?
shows
Was
up.
68?
Yeah.
Carlson?
Yeah.
65.
65. So
Yeah.
how would you make a 91 into a 65?
Hi, I'm Intact Insurance Visa Red Bull Mitch Marner.
It's like the Simpsons, Atlanta Falcons. Eric Carlson.
I like that.
It's great to be playing here in Springfield.
I think too it'd be really funny if Mitch Marner had to do that pitch without getting an extension. Hi, I'm restricted free agent Mitch Marner, and assuming I re-sign here, assuming my dad says it's cool,
You're either going to get to make great outlet passes to me or a bunch of wonderful picks.
Hey, I'll see you in December when my holdout's done.
yeah, exactly. Wow.
Oh my God. No.
No, I think Mitch Marner gets signed.
Yeah.
Listen, top quality Eric Carlson
Is the bomb.
and at least middle of the pack career average Martin Jones. I think San Jose walks to the conference final. I really do. But
Neither of those things are true right now.
Martin Jones, we were talking about how bad he is with an .898 save percentage. It has since gone down to .896. He's having the worst season of his life.
Yeah.
And unless that turns around in the playoffs, what if Marc-Andre Fleury goes Marc-Andre Fleury from the playoffs last year mode? Vegas doesn't even have to be the better team. The Sharks can score a shitload of goals, but if they get stymied by Fleury,
Well,
that's it.
And isn't that always the case in the playoffs? And that's how exactly I look at this series.
Both teams only had 3 wins in their final 10.
Yeah.
Did a little bit of reading on this because I had a bunch of Sharks fans, and Jesse did the most prep of us all. So let us.
He's got notes and shit.
Jesse was excited for this.
I
But
love this.
before you
Playoffs
get
are
to
my
this, I
favorite.
want to know what you think of this, Jess.
Yeah.
So I had several San Jose Sharks fans reach out on DMs. It's funny when people.
go down
Now that
there.
my DMs are open, people would prefer to tweet you things where they disagree with you in your DMs, just to be like, "Hey, I would like to keep this conversation quiet because
And respectful.
and respectful. It's always respectful. You'd think in the DMs it'd be like." Here's a picture of my peepee, or something weird
that
like
was my
that,
Snapchat experience.
which is hilarious.
Time to meet some people. That's a penis. All right. Well,
Anyway, people have been super cool, but a few San Jose Sharks fans have said that they're also, and I'd love to talk to Andrew Berkshire about this, they're also really bad at giving a lot of odd man rushes. Now, that does not make a lot of odd man rushes did not make for an 8.96 save percentage. However, they're saying it could have been like 9.901 if the Sharks hadn't been so porous on
Dude,
defense. Interesting.
Terrible. He was terrible this season. That's not good.
You know what else is interesting? All the players on the Sharks that are on long-term deals that are falling off. And I'm talking about Marc-Edouard Vlasic specifically, who signed forever and ever, amen. And I'm just bringing this up because I want to make sure I get the numbers right on this.
What a wasteland the Pacific could be in a couple of years.
Oh, yeah.
Like the Kings with those contracts, the Ducks, the
So you've
Sharks.
got
Oh my
Justin
God.
Braun's making 3.8. He's 32. Erik Karlsson is...
He is?
Erik Karlsson is the youngest player on their defense in the top 4.
I would have guessed Justin Braun's like 26.
Brent Burns is 34, $8 million, signed till 2024, 25. 34.
I had no idea.
Marc-Edouard Vlasic, 32, $7 million a year, 24, 25.
Oh.
Carlson, younger than both of those guys. He's younger than Brent Burns by 6 years. 6.5 million, not re-signed yet. Justin Braun, 32, makes another 3.8 million next season. Brandon Dillon, 28 years old, 3.27. And then Radim Simic and they get like Tim Heed, who's 28, and Ryan Joachim Ryan or whatever, or Joachim Ryan or whatever, however the heck you pronounce that. The fact is, the Sharks are looking at contract hell coming up here, and
So
Marc-Edouard
they better
Marc-Edouard Vlasic, former Olympian for Team Canada, it happens. You
Oh,
fall
yeah.
off.
Time's undefeated.
They went for it, and they made a Stanley Cup final,
Sure
and
did.
they just missed, and they didn't get their cup.
Well, they didn't
time
re-sign Polak.
got Yager.
They didn't
It'll
re-sign-
get all of you.
They didn't re-sign Polak. That was their big problem. So, Jesse, what are your thoughts on the
so
series?
I had Vegas in 7, just because I see two teams who had the opportunity to beat up on a terrible Pacific. They got to beat up Vancouver, Arizona, Edmonton, LA, all in their division. And San Jose, I was looking at some of their scoring number. Their second highest team is scoring, which is great.
They scored. Yeah, they
have-
are the Leafs. The Leafs of the West.
Except they don't have the goaltending.
Right.
Yeah, so they had 4 30-goal scorers.
Wow.
Yeah, but then Vegas is just good enough to compete because they don't have the
Can
terrible
I
goaltending.
say this? I think Vegas is the better complete team.
Oh, I don't know about that, but Vegas is completely different since getting Mark Stone, and they were on. Weren't they like 9-0-1 or something stupid like that in their first 10 games with him?
Yes.
So I look at that
Although he didn't
and
score
I look
a
at
lot.
their.
He didn't score a lot.
He didn't
No,
score,
he didn't.
and then he was out. But they did go 9-0. They did have 9 wins in 10 games.
So I didn't realize he was out. So maybe
Yeah.
that factored into them stinking for a while. So he comes back, assuming he's healthy. Do you know what his injury was?
No.
Assuming he's healthy and A-OK, that should be. This series is such a toss-up for me. I have the Sharks winning. I'm not confident in it at all.
Yeah.
I'm just saying this. I want my defense core to be Shea Theodore, Colin Miller, Braden McNabb, and Nate Schmidt over Brent Burns, Erik Karlsson, Marc-Edouard Vlasic, and what was the other guy? Justin Braun.
And then
I
I'll
think
take
you're
that.
nuts to think that if Karlsson is healthy.
He's not.
But I'm
saying
I'm
right
not
now.
convinced.
I'm saying right now.
A month and a half ago, he couldn't turn.
and you
I
have
don't
a
know,
group
man.
of guys who knows what it takes to go to the Stanley Cup final.
Yeah.
With the Sharks.
Yeah.
With
with both.
with the Golden Knights who
With
went
both.
last year.
Yeah.
both.
I remember the Leafs took the Flyers to 7 games once. And then the second round, they had to play the Senators, and they took them to 7 games.
No, that was the Islanders.
Or the Islanders, or something. Yeah, it was the
Yeah,
Islanders.
Islanders
right.
then Sens,
and I
yeah.
remember it was, I think it was Bob Cole and Harry Neal.
Oh.
And so, to your point, Jesse, they said the Senators have 3 players who have ever been to a Game 7. The Leafs have an entire team
Wow.
because
Yeah.
they had just done it. And I feel like that's going to be a major thing. I'm telling you, with the speed that Vegas has, with the goaltending that Vegas has, Marc-Andre Fleury, he's an ageless wonder right now. Who knows how long it's going to last? Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. Hope it lasts till 2021-22 because he signed that $21 million extension this offseason. It doesn't kick in till next season. But I'm telling you, the Vegas Golden Knights right now have better players on their blue line than the San Jose Sharks do. And that's based on health and injuries and and age and all those things. But that's just the way it is. Those are big brand names at San Jose. Vegas is 100% a more complete and better team.
I forgot that Vegas actually beat the Sharks last year.
Yeah, it was last year in 6 games.
I think so.
Yeah.
And also last year, for 2 straight years, I've had Vegas losing in the first round. I'm an idiot.
And then when anything's a tie, it's going to come down to goaltending, and Martin Jones has been dog shit.
He's been really... Dude, that's kind.
Yeah.
Like, he's been terrible.
So I'm going to take the guy who doesn't have an 896 save percentage.
Agreed. And you take that anytime in any series.
Yeah.
So I say Vegas in 6. What do you say?
Vegas in 7.
Ooh.
I think I had Sharks in 6.
You're nuts.
Yeah, I know I am. I'm not confident in it. There's a bunch of series. The next one, I have no idea as well.
Right.
Which one's that?
So, Nashville and Dallas.
This is a fun one.
So this is the one that I screwed up in my 18-minute bracket video. I think I straight up said, you know what? I have Dallas. And then on my bracket, I had Nashville.
Yeah, you've had a lot of work to do lately. So.
Yeah.
You know, I can understand why you would split that, though.
Yes.
Ben Bishop's been phenomenal.
Vezina candidate over the past couple months.
Neil
943, 198 GA.
That's normally what you take.
Stupid.
It was 43 games.
James Neal
Vezina.
and Tyler Seguin have not been horseshit.
Nope.
And
Jamie Benn.
Sorry, Jamie Benn. That's right. Jamie Benn and James Neal. Jeez, I always get Neal and Ben mixed up. I don't know why.
Because they're first names.
Okay, maybe. Were they both Penguins too?
No.
Okay. Ben was not a Penguin. Neal was.
Neil was a star.
That's maybe what it was.
Maybe.
Anyway, it doesn't matter. I always get them mixed up. Here's where I differ from the crowd. I heard on the Sportsnet pregame show or pre-lottery show they were talking about a lot of people are giving Dallas a real shot in this series, and they should. But
extremely stingy team.
Nashville had a bad season and still won the division.
Yeah.
And Nashville has the best top four defense in the league. Maybe you could argue Calgary's a little better. I don't know how you can. I think that when those four guys are healthy, they are the best four defensemen together in the league.
I think
and
you're right.
Your two major weapons on Dallas are Ben and Seguin. And you're telling me that you can't line match literally one guy who won a Norris, a couple guys who have been nominated for a Norris. Like, are we serious here? You could shut Seguin and Ben out of this series, absolutely. And if you have to win 1-0, 2-0, that's what Nashville does.
I looked at this series entirely the wrong way in the video. I was looking at what Nashville can't do rather than what they can. So Pecorine to me is a bit of a wild card. When he's on, he's unbelievable.
Yeah.
When he's off, he's dreadful. It's
Yep.
friggin' terrible. They have a great defense, but they're not the best at goal scoring.
Mm-hmm.
Victor Arvidsson, I think, just set the franchise record for goals in a season, and I want to say it was 34.
34 goals. I had it right here.
That was 34. And one of the things everybody kept saying was their power play. So their power play was dead last.
Oh, it's awful.
31st. But 8 or
How does that happen?
10 of the last 8 Stanley Cup champions had a power play that finished in the bottom half of the league.
Wow.
It doesn't matter in the playoffs.
Well, because
It's completely
murder's
different.
legal.
It's
It's a different
power
thing.
plays aren't the same.
It's not
You get
the
them for
same.
completely different reasons. So I don't think goal scoring is going to be a problem.
Or
Even if it is a problem, you overcome it because it's a different game. It's not the regular season.
And while the Preds aren't an offensive juggernaut, dude, the Stars have had a horrible time getting goals this season. The one X factor there is Matt Zuccarello. Actually, I think really, really improved the Stars' offense a lot more than I thought he would.
I think that trade got them to the playoffs.
Yeah. Who did the Preds get? I know they got Boyle.
Brian Boyle, and Wayne Simmons.
Oh, and they got Wayne Simmons.
But Wayne Simmons
too.
only had a goal and 2 assists in 17 games with Nashville.
Oh, that's terrible.
Rough.
I think Nashville wins it. I don't think it's going to be fun. And I hope looking through the bracket at least gives you an idea of how the Leafs have a shot. Mm-hmm. Like, every team has a shot. Like, do any of these series look like cakewalks?
No.
Not really.
Although Calgary, Colorado sort of does.
I don't
I'm not
know.
gonna lie.
I don't know.
But here's what I want to go through some of the offense, and we'll get to the goaltending part in Nashville in just a second. But Tyler Seguin 72 points, Tyler Seguin 80 points, Radulov 72, Ben 53, Klingberg 45, and then Heiskanen 33, Esa Lindell 32,
It's
and then
a
it just
sharp
falls
drop
off.
off.
Just
Yeah.
there are 4 guys.
Yeah.
Nashville, Ryan Johansson 64 points. That's your leading scorer. Roman Josi 56. Philip Forsberg, 50. And you know he's capable of more. Yeah. He also only played 64 games. Victor Arvidsson only played 58 games, 48 points. Wow. And Matthias Ekholm, again, defenseman, 44 points. Ryan Ellis, 41 points. Even Craig Smith had 21 goals.
It's amazing. How does Simmons only have 1 goal and 2 assists as a big net front presence guy on a team where all they do is fire it from the point.
Wait,
That's unbelievable to me.
hold on.
What?
Did we say Matt Zuccarello?
You didn't? No.
I did. I said I thought that got him to the playoffs. It looks like he only played 2 games. Is he out? He's out.
He was out. He's back now.
Yeah.
Okay.
He played his first game. He had a goal and like an assist or something.
Mm-hmm.
Then he broke his arm, and then I think he played the final game of the season. He's back.
I still think. Oh, then I take back my take about him getting them to the playoffs.
He'll be in the Stars lineup for Game 1.
Okay.
Expected to play Game 1. That's from CBS
Okay.
Sports. There you go.
Here, the fact of the matter is, I think Nashville's defense and spread around offense is going to be the key in this series. I also think, like, we know Pecorine he's either really good or he's terrible. And what's interesting, though, is that apparently now they're so aware of it that UC Saros will be there in there in a second. And he played a lot more this season. Yeah. So I wonder if UC Saros isn't the guy going forward.
Could be. And
31 games this year.
Simmons is going to score more.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Come on.
Yeah.
And
Zuccarello's going to play more than 3 games, even though he got them to the playoffs. Let's be honest.
Even though, where was it? Even though the Stars are going to definitely probably outscore Nashville in some way, but definitely not win the series, if that makes sense.
No.
No, they probably won't. That doesn't make sense at all.
What are you thinking?
Better offense.
You think?
The
I
Stars?
don't know about that.
Yeah?
I think it's a low-scoring series, which means somehow it's going to be high-scoring because it's the playoffs and it's dumb. But, like, they're just one team's yellow and the other team's green, but they're just different versions of each other, I think. Stop me if you've heard this before. It'll come down to goaltending.
There you go.
But if Nashville can get to the friggin' net, Wayne Simmons in the kitchen, Brian Boyle in the kitchen, Victor Arvidsson crashing the net, Ben Bishop can be broken down. We've seen it before. The one thing you got to worry about, though, Ben Bishop over the past half-decade has been the best goalie in the entire NHL at drawing penalties. That guy loves a good flop. Loves diving around. So Nashville's got to watch that.
That's interesting.
Ben Bishop's
and if
the series, I mean, lives and dies.
If they
on
were
Ben
playing,
Bishop's
if they were
pads.
playing Boston, I would be like, well, better give the Stars a chance at that. But I don't think Nashville's a huge drive to the net team.
No. Well, I don't know.
Because you got to be in and around Bishop for that to happen. And I'm not saying that there aren't guys that won't stand there, but they're not guys that are like, you're not going to be like, oh man, I can't wait to see Philip Forsberg really drive the net hard. Like, he's a finesse guy a little bit more than, you know what I mean?
Well, he's feisty and tenacious.
Sure.
And he'll
I'm not
drive,
saying, yeah.
Arvidsson will drive. Another huge factor, every playoff, Nashville has at least one cataclysmic injury. Who's it going to be? I feel so bad for them.
Now let's move on to the next round.
Oh, no.
The next first round.
Steve,
sorry.
so you picked in your video Dallas, and you picked on your bracket Nashville. Who are you picking?
Nashville.
Nashville? Okay.
On the podcast, you play.
And you're going with Nashville as well?
I am going with Nashville. What are you going with?
Nashville.
Interesting.
But you're not sure.
What did you say? How many games?
Right?
How many games?
6 or 5. I don't know what I went with.
Really?
Yeah.
What did you say, Steve?
I think it was 6. It might have been 5. It might have been 7.
I'm saying 5.
Other notes I had just to throw them in.
Please do.
Corsi percentage, Nashville 56.7, Stars 43.3. Shots percentage 55.8, Dallas 44.2. Chances percentage 56.1, 43.
So this is Ben Bishop and his band of merry men.
So if Ben Bishop stands on his head, which happens so often in the NHL, he could win a couple games, but I don't think they win the series.
Best goalie in the NHL over the past month. Like, I think that's pretty fair.
Ben Bishop?
Yeah.
Might win the Vezina.
He might.
Yeah,
Probably won't. He'll probably end up losing it to Vasilevsky. He hasn't played that many games, but best goal in the NHL over the past month.
Also, underrated thing going into every playoffs, Nashville's hot right now. Won 3 in a row, 7 in their last 10.
Could be a thing.
Like,
I would love to see a Stanley Cup final, Ben Bishop versus Andrei Vasilevsky, the 2 Tampa goalies from 2015.
That'd be fun.
I think it'd be cool.
That'd be fun.
Okay, going into, we got Winnipeg and St. Louis. Jesse.
I have Winnipeg.
Now, this arguably could be the closest of all the close series. Arguably. In the West, it for sure is.
Okay.
Without question, it's the closest series in the West.
I disagree.
Who's closer?
This is maybe the series I feel most confident in. It's going to be the Blues. The Devil.
You're crazy.
Sorry. The Jets have been dreadful. Their goaltending is not what it was. Laine's not bloody scoring. And the Blues are the hottest team in the NHL heading into the Stanley Cup playoffs. I want to say 8-1-1 in their final 10.
Do you trust a man who made his NHL debut on January 7th?
Yeah.
Patrick Waugh, to be fair, did that too in the 86 playoffs.
Dude, it's been done.
It's been a while. I mean,
Jordan Binnington is Patrick Waugh.
No.
Says
Listen,
Adam
if
Wilde.
Binnington had even shown like signs of cracks, like over these past 3 and a bit months, I'd be like, yeah, I could see that happening, faltering in the playoffs. He hasn't faltered. Like he's going to be really good. His NHL debut, or at least his season debut, was December something or other, and it was against Calgary. He allowed 2 goals on 12 shots, and he never played them after that. Sorry, I just realized I'm saying something from the video that doesn't apply to the series. It applies to the next round.
Interesting.
But Binnington has been unreal. The Blues have been unreal. They are not the same team that we were just completely pooping on at the beginning of the season. One team is playing hot, like you said. Another team has... I just think the Blues win.
Okay, interesting. So, Jesse, you give it to Winnipeg in how many games?
6 games.
Steve?
I can't remember what I put. 5 or 6.
Here, you're ignoring the fact, which is always the fact, which is when St. Louis gets into the playoffs, which is every year, they lose. This is how it works. This is the St. Louis way.
It's like doing your taxes.
It is.
Every year it just comes.
Now, Blues fans will look at me and go, well, the Leafs never make the playoffs. And I'll say, you're right.
Cool, that has nothing to do with your team.
Yeah, and the Blues always lose in the first or second round. They're always a disappointment.
The Leafs getting knocked out in the first round is not going to help you beat the Jets.
And I say the Winnipeg Jets are too talented. I know they had their closed-door meeting, and apparently there's a huge divide in the locker room right now between the old guys and the young guys.
Sounds good. Sounds healthy.
You know what's great? Winning games. That will heal that divide, and I guarantee you, Winnipeg steals the first game in this series. They win. It's at home. And like the promo says, you play Winnipeg, you play their fans.
Yeah, there's just too many
they
broken
are
things
going
to
to
me.
cheer the Blues out of the building.
I question whether or not Byfuglien is 100%. I question whether or not Josh Morrissey is 100%. Connor Hellebuck hasn't been Connor Hellebuck. Patrick Laine hasn't been Patrick Laine.
Or Connor Hellebuck. Or Connor Hellebuck's been Connor Hellebuck, and last year he wasn't Connor Hellebuck.
Could be that, but like leave him out of it.
Yeah.
If you have 100% Morrissey, 100% Byfuglien, and last year's Patrick Laine, literally you go back in time and abduct him from the past. I picked them to win, but nope.
Do you need Patrick Laine when you have Scheifele, Wheeler, Connor, Trouba, Little, Ehlers?
You can't have him do nothing.
You
which
can
he
have
essentially
him.
has
You
been.
can have him skate around and take a shot and maybe score.
Do you want to
is what
see
he's been
Patrick
doing.
Laine pass the puck, or do you want to see him shoot dingers?
Yeah, have him float around the offensive zone. Give him the puck when he wants to snipe the puck into the net.
Listen, if he wants to go through literally his second hot streak of the season, now's the time.
Sure.
But he hasn't really
He's still
shown any
got
sign
30
of...
goals.
Based on
I know, but
based on era-adjusted stats, Patrick Laine is the most prolific 19-year-old ever to score in the NHL.
how old's he now?
A little older.
20.
Like, dude, he
21.
hasn't been good. The 20s have not been kind to Patrick Laine.
Sure.
Ah.
I just think the team's not built around Patrick Laine. I think they've proven that this year.
For sure.
I can't wait.
For sure.
I can't wait till he has a bad playoff and they trade him and then he goes and explodes somewhere else. It's going to be amazing.
He's...
Because I don't know how they're going to re-sign him, to be honest.
This season could be a against all odds blessing in disguise for the Jets, because like he's going to ask for like Eichel at least money, probably Matthews.
He's not going to get it,
and the Jets are going to be like, "Are you insane?" And he's going to get a bridge deal, and for the next 2 years, could be the best contract in the NHL.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Patrick Laine will score 50 goals again.
Like if he does, you could have a 50 goal scorer for like I don't know $5 million.
Yeah.
Something like that. It's that contract to me is such a monkey wrench in the entire league. Mm-hmm. I don't know what to think.
Here's the other thing. I think we ignore the fact, and a lot of times people put too much pressure or too much into teams, and I'm talking about this playoff matchup. They put too much into teams who have been there before. Sometimes it's too much. I think in this particular case, you got a lot of guys on the Blues who have either not made the first round or lost in the first round a lot, and then you got a goalie who's never been there before.
Along with a head coach.
He's been in the situation. Bennington has been in a playoff situation. But, I mean, what player
Was he wearing
hasn't
an
at
NHL
some
logo?
Yeah,
level?
what
No.
playoff situation? This is first.
Ontario Hockey
One
League.
time he was in the
It was
OHL.
a long time
and-
ago. I know.
No, Steve, I will not accept that.
I know. No,
Hey,
you're right.
Mitch Marner won the MVP and a championship. How come he hasn't won one in the NHL yet?
It's about to happen. Listen,
I hope it does.
he's made the playoffs
I want him.
twice, which is better than Connor McDavid and Taylor Hall.
Wow. Mitch Marner, superior.
Yes.
Let's move on to the Central Division because, of course, I'm leaving the Atlantic for last. Starting with the Capitals and Canes.
Metro Division.
Metro Division, not the Central Division. What did I say? Did I say
You said Central.
What? Well, it's the old Central.
It's okay. They keep changing.
Metro, and it is Canes and Caps, which is an odd matchup. Let's just be straight. Did we ever think the Canes and Caps would go head-to-head?
No, it's a real weird one. You know what? I said the Blues-Jets series was the one I'm most confident in. I think it's this one.
Yeah.
The Caps are such a complete team. They really hit their stride in the second half. Peter Mrazek should be commended for what he's done with the Hurricanes, Curtis McElhinney as well. But the offensive weapons on the Caps, if you give them enough time, will pick them apart. They win.
You see the head-to-head record?
No.
It's 4-0, and I think they outscored them 18-6.
Caps did.
They ousted
Hey.
Carolina. It's
You know
not-
who
it's not gonna
really
be
have helped the
close.
Carolina Hurricanes this year?
Scott Darling, but good.
Jeff Skinner.
Oh.
You know what didn't
man.
help them? The second and fourth round pick they got for him. Just throwing that out there. But I'm happy for the Canes. They are playing with house money. It doesn't matter. It's like another team playing with house money this time against the Caps, like the Leafs did a couple years ago. However, the Caps have won their cup now. And yeah, they're going for a repeat, but you can never take away the fact that Alexander Ovechkin has the cup now. So there's not the pressure on the Caps like there was a couple years ago when they brought in Shattenkirk and they brought in whoever else. And you got to remember, too, in this series, no Michael Kempney, who was an enormous part of their playoff success last year. He's out 4 to 6 months.
That's pretty bad.
So it'll be interesting to see how that goes. I give the Canes 5 games. As in, like, they'll lose it in 5 games. They get 1 win,
Yeah.
and it's house money, and hopefully you come back next year with a goal scorer, and you can build on this, because I think the Canes have all the pieces. They just need a couple scores.
I think they have a scorer in Svechnikov. They just need to unleash it.
Or more. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, if Svechnikov if he played, like, the ice time he was getting, especially at the beginning of the season, was just, you're just like, what? Are you serious?
Well, in that Leaf game, like every time he was on the ice, he clobbered them, and he was on the ice for like 11 minutes. It was ridiculous. Unless, no, there's not a situation where I see the Hurricanes winning.
No.
Maybe. I mean, it'd be fun.
Yeah.
You know, it'd be cool because the Capitals did that once upon a time. The Boston Bruins won the 2011 Stanley Cup, and in 2012, it looked like they were poised to repeat. And in round 1, they get knocked out, Game 7, overtime, by Joel Ward and the Washington Capitals.
So do you think this is a sweep?
Oh, I don't know about a sweep, but it could be.
I mean, if Carolina does want to win this series,
Carolina wins 1 at home.
agreed. I think
Yeah.
it's 5 games. But if Carolina does win the series, how? How would it be?
Braden Holtby has to be absolute trash, and Rod Brindamore
Like pre-Fedora, Braden Holtby.
Oh yeah.
Wow. Okay.
And Rod Brindamore outcoaches Todd Reardon. That's
Maybe beats him out. Beats him at a push-up session in the hallway.
yeah,
Broad
which he
Brendamore's
could.
Broad Brendamore's in good shape. Wow.
He is. Well, he doesn't have to go all the way down for push-ups because his nose blocked him.
Oh.
You see, I'm allowed to make that joke because I have a huge nose.
To answer your question, with possession and goaltending.
Do you think the Carolina Hurricanes have a shot in this series?
I don't at all.
No.
But if they were to beat them, they beat them with advanced analytics because they're kind of like the future team. They led the league with the highest possession numbers.
Yeah.
And then if they get great goaltending with McElhinney and Mrazek, in some sort of tandem, if they consistently get the 934 they got, then they'd stand a chance, but I don't think it's going to happen.
Yeah. Put the puck past Braden Holtby.
A couple times and
Yeah.
hold on to it like you've been doing all year, and you're good.
Yep. Interesting.
Could
Yeah.
work. And
Yeah.
coaching is going to be a big part of the series. I just don't see them pulling it off.
One of the more interesting series we'll see in the first round is the New York Islanders and the Pittsburgh Penguins. Now this
was a tough one for me to call.
this is going to be
very
a fun
tough.
one. Now we'll start with Mr. I actually did my research, producer Jesse. Who are you calling, and in how many games?
I have the Islanders in 6.
Why?
In 6, interesting.
Yes. I think Robin Lehner is going to show up. I think he's going to look at this as his opportunity. I don't think he's going to miss it.
Has he been to the Stanley Cup playoffs? I don't know if he has. I don't know if he's
That's a
played.
good question.
Because he was with the Sens and he was with the Sabres.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think he ever played. He might have been a backup for the Sens one year.
Also, Dan Rosen wrote a little interesting piece on this article on NHL.com. And he wrote about how the Islanders do a great job of taking away the middle of the ice, especially in their defensive zone. They tie up sticks and keep traffic away from their goalies. They're strong on the walls and corners and routinely winning board battles. They were fourth in the league in blocked shots. Even when teams dominate possession time against the Islanders, they don't end up with many grade A scoring chances. It added up to the Islanders being the stingiest defensive team in the league this season. So,
They're good, and Barry Trotz is a wonderful coach.
I think my reasoning is best defensive team, playoff hockey is defensive hockey. You have a coach who won the Stanley Cup last year.
Yep.
I think Barry Trotz finds some way to out-coach the team
And
through a system and wins the series.
If he out-coaches and has the better goalie.
Yes. I think those defensive metrics are really important for the success of the Islanders.
I agree.
Yeah.
I agree.
Honestly, I think the Islanders are the favorite. In my bracket, I had the Penguins.
Oh.
Because you never bet against Sidney Crosby.
Never bet against Sidney Crosby. And there's something really important there. How good the Islanders are at defending up the middle. Okay, so there's your fortress, and you built this wall, and the strength of your castle is that wall. What if the enemy brings a bigger cannon? What if they bring two?
Yeah.
Like, what if your strength, the thing you're best at, has to go up against that two-headed monster?
Sounds like
Sidney Crosby, Evgeny Malkin.
the Turkish siege of Constantinople in the 1400s. When
Sure
they had
does.
enormous walls, and the Turks brought this newfangled thing called a cannon. And,
Yes.
And they actually, the cannon was so big, I think it fired like once a day, and it hucked like 2-ton balls of iron at the walls, and I think the city fell in a few days.
How weird must that have been to have been the first city to fall to a cannon?
Well,
what are the odds?
in Europe, cannons have been
right.
around for hundreds of years in China before that.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, true. Yeah, that's the only reason that that empire had survived. The Byzantines is because of that big wall. But somebody brought a bigger gun.
I spent months building this, and you tore it down in a second?
Yep.
Yeah, and Robin Lehner, again, if we're talking about like playoff experience and all that, he doesn't really have it.
look that up.
And he's been one of the best goalies in the NHL this season. But if you give Sidney Crosby, the ultimate student of the game, 4 to 7 games to study you and pick you apart, he just might do it.
The key is not to let him get more than 4 or 5. Like you don't want, the longer you go, the less chance you have.
Yes.
That is, I think, a good way to put it. I think that's a great way to put it. If it's a quick series, Islanders have home ice advantage. If they win the first 2, they probably take it. Obviously, they won the first 2.
Most teams do.
Pittsburgh takes one of those games in Long Island.
Oh boy.
I don't know.
How much do you factor in the fact that Pittsburgh's played so many more games than all the other teams in the NHL over the last
I think
3
that's
years?
a huge factor. I think that's what buried the Kings. I think that they got older faster. They played more games, and these are not just games. These are like triple the game, right?
Well,
There's
they
a
played
lot
an
of wear and tear.
extra month last year, but like they stopped playing hockey like what, mid-May?
Yeah.
Sure. What about the 2 years before that?
Right. Yeah, it could finally be catching up with them.
I don't know.
And if it is catching up with them, to your point, Islanders are about as bad a team to face as any.
Because they're fresh as a daisy.
They're young.
Fresh as a daisy, young, and assholes.
Yeah.
Cal Clutterbuck and
It will
and
be
Leo
interesting to
Komarov
see if that Cizikas, Komarov, Martin, whoever, if they ever see Sidney Crosby, because they will piss him off. But I don't know if you would. I wouldn't play them against him because he would probably walk around them.
Komarov I would trust. I mean, Babcock
Really?
did.
That worked well.
Well, I'm trying to think of what their lines are. The other issue there, especially going up against the Penguins up the middle, and Jared McCann has been a really good addition for them, is Valtteri Filppula at 100%. Because I think he played the final game of the season.
Things
Okay.
we
And that
thought
was,
we would never say.
I know.
Playoff factor
They
Valtteri
made
Filppula.
so many signings, and all of them look bad, and Filppula was one of them.
He's been great.
Super important part of that team. It's a really even series. I have the Penguins winning it. Would not be shocked in the slightest if the Isles did.
I say Isles in 7.
Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I might have had it go in 7 too.
I just do. Moving to, is it called the Atlantic anymore?
Yes.
It is the other.
Tampa Bay, Columbus. This is, to me, the automatic sweep.
Wow.
Columbus
really?
is, even with the additions, just not very good.
It's funny. I also have a sweep.
And I Jesse will have reasons, but I'm gonna give you my eye test reasons, which are Columbus barely scraped in,
7-2-1 in their final 10 though.
sure, Bobrovsky can steal series and stuff like that, but here's the deal.
Eastern Pecorine.
Yeah, exactly. And here's the thing with the Tampa Bay Lightning. You know this. They've been here before, time after time after time, and they are unquestionably the superior team talent-wise.
They sort of feel like they won't be denied.
I also think they're better coached. They got a better goaltender, and they got better players. I don't know how it could be much more lopsided than this. And with no offense to Blue Jackets fans, I love the fact that they went for it. But the fact that they couldn't get a higher wild card seed than eighth just tells you all you need to know. I think this is Tort's last year with the Columbus Blue Jackets. It might be Jarmo Kekalainen's last year with the Columbus Blue Jackets if things don't go well this offseason. The Tampa Bay Lightning in 4.
You can't spend what they spent and get one round.
Oh, by the way, I forgot to mention this. The Brampton Beast put out a tweet this morning. They are the ECHL affiliate of a team. Hey, New York Islanders fans, wouldn't you agree? And they tweeted a picture of one of the Growlers and one of and John Tavares as snakes. Because I guess I don't know who this is on the Growlers, but they tweeted out the snake thing, and people are like, "This is another L for Brampton." And if you live in Toronto, you know that Brampton takes the L all the time.
Brampton does take many L's.
But the Brampton Beast are the ECHL affiliate of
the Montreal Canadiens.
No.
Oh, they were?
No.
Oh, are they the Isles now?
Ottawa Senators.
Ottawa Senators.
What?
They are the Senators ECHL affiliate. So everybody's like, so you're pissing off a bunch of Leaf fans? Really? And you're the ECHL
It's a
team
bold
and no
strategy.
one
We'll see if it pays off.
And
Who runs that
the
account?
way the tweet is written,
Oh, God.
you get the sense that order came from Ottawa. And I'm saying order because I don't think that's not... Beating up on Leaf fans in their own territory is not a way to get people to get to your ECHL game.
And it's getting ratioed.
Yeah, pretty bad.
Oh, that's so dumb.
Ratioed by ECHL
What
standards.
is
18 replies.
Yeah.
The
12
second
likes.
round.
Yeah.
What is the
Just to put it
second
in perspective for you, I have 3 times the followers of the Brampton Beast.
Oh, man, getting hockey to work in Brampton has been so
Just
difficult.
not not happening.
difficult.
The suburbs aren't really like sports towns. Like, I don't think
The western suburbs aren't really sports
Yes,
towns. I've noticed
yes.
that like getting people to Steelheads games was pulling teeth. And Brampton was the same.
and, like you don't
Not
think of,
having a Jumbotron was a big deal.
they don't have a jumbotron.
The Brampton Battalion, when they were there, did not. I don't know if the arena does now. I think they do.
Good Lord.
Dude, they didn't have a Jumbotron, and they just had... Their mascot was just a scary-looking person.
Yeah, he was the big head, wasn't he?
He was terrifying, and he would just walk around the stands with
The kids
pizza,
would cry.
handing out pizza to the... Yeah, and the
And the
kids
kids
would
would
cry.
literally cry every time because he's terrified. He's got this big military hat.
Yeah, and if there was a goal, I hope you didn't blink, because there's no replay. You can't watch.
You can't watch it.
How did that go in? We don't know.
What's the score? I don't know. Somebody's keeping track.
Wow.
That was brutal. How do we get here?
Exactly. Well, I just wanted to.
Tampa, Columbus?
I meant to mention that the Islanders have a fan in the Brampton Beast because they have to, because Eugene says so. Tampa Bay Lightning, Columbus Blue Jackets. Jesse, what were your thoughts on that? Because
Super easy. It's gonna be Tampa. It's 1 versus 8. Tampa's the best team in the league. Columbus, even though they went for it, I wish they would have been better, and they've proven that they're not good.
Yeah.
Underrated guy who I think is going to come out of the series and be like, ooh, who is that? Anthony Ciccarelli, third-line center on Tampa. Sorry,
Yeah.
Ciccarelli, third-line center on Tampa. Kills
Real
all
good.
of their penalties. I think he's going to come out and be like, ooh, look, Ciccarelli's playing.
Former
cool.
Oshawa Generals captain.
Really?
Anthony
There you
Cirelli
go.
won the Memorial Cup with them.
just got a Twitter DM. Adam, I used to work for the Brampton Beast, and yeah, I know half their interns, and they're absolutely doing this to gain attention because the attendance is awful.
Well, there you go.
Well, that's not going to help, though.
No, well,
I don't think. I've been invited to one of their games.
you're not going now.
Well, I might. I don't know. Well, it's Brampton. Dude. So driving home from London after that signing, and I passed a sign, and I'm nowhere near home. I passed a sign for Brampton, and I'm like, this is where Brampton is? Oh, dude. It's so far.
It is.
It's the GTA's
Take that
huge.
Highway 410 north. Get up to Bramley City Center.
How about no? Oh God,
Tampa,
what I would pay
Columbus.
for a helicopter, if only. Listen, last year Tampa was supposed to sweep the Devils. They didn't. It was 5, which isn't much better than a sweep. No juggernaut team ever goes undefeated in the playoffs. The beast bleeds. Victor Hedman's not 100%, and that makes Tampa completely different. I think Columbus wins a game, maybe 2. Tampa wins. Columbus might pull off 2. They're finally playing like the team that they thought they were putting together.
Mm-hmm. It's a little too late, though.
It is, well, or maybe they're hitting their stride at the perfect time. Some might argue. Sure. They're going to need some real over-their-head performances. Maybe the most key one will be Seth Jones. Jason York's hottest take of the season, I think. Because a lot of people crapped on him for saying Henrik Lundqvist is not a Hall of Famer.
Is that what he said?
He did. Oh, it's okay. He knows. He got dumped on for it. The other one was he would have taken Seth Jones over Nathan McKinnon in 2013.
Oh, no.
But, I've heard other people say Seth Jones should be a Norris candidate. Time to prove it. What better way to prove it than beating the Tampa Bay freaking Lightning? Mm-hmm. But they need Bob. Mm-hmm. If Bob doesn't outshine Vasilevsky, which I don't think he's going to do, they're done.
If they go 7 games, Bob gets $10 million a year. And they go 7 games and lose. Bob's going to get his money. That's what Bob's playing for. He's not playing for the Columbus Blue Jackets. He's playing for his contract.
LOL if, said the Panthers.
Right.
My favorite stat out of this series. How many postseason series has Bobrovsky ever won?
None.
He has 0 postseason series wins.
So do the Blue Jackets as a franchise.
Yeah. And dating back to like his Philadelphia days, never won a postseason series. So I don't think that changes.
It's so unfortunate.
Yeah.
It's not that the Capitals are a cakewalk, but I feel like they have such a much better chance against the Caps. Mm-hmm. Dude, you couldn't pass the Canes. You couldn't get one of those Metro spots. Tough one for Columbus. I don't think Kekalainen's feeling very good.
No.
But if they have really hit their stride and they somehow pull a Buster Douglas on Tampa, then all of a sudden
they're the favorite.
It's a jump ball for friggin' the Stanley Cup.
Yeah.
It's unbelievable.
Yeah.
Tampa, if they win, have the chance to come out of it unscathed. If Columbus wins, they win, but they're going to have a chunk taken out of them.
Okay. You don't think they automatically become the favorite to come out of the East?
God, no.
No?
No, because
Really?
it's going to take everything they have to beat Tampa.
Yeah. I don't think it's going to happen at all.
No.
Interesting. And that brings us to our final first round
What
series.
do we got?
What's left, Adam?
We got the Bruins and the Toronto Maple Leafs. An original 6 matchup. I believe the only one of the first round.
I think you're right.
And one with considerable history. Yes. Some of it warranted, some unwarranted. Yes, the Bruins have beaten the Leafs twice in Game 7s, where the Leafs were ahead.
2013 does not count.
Right. Completely different game, team, everything. But everybody likes to loop that in.
Yeah.
Last year, it felt like, even going into the series, that first 10 minutes, do you remember Mike Babcock putting his hands out like, calm down, calm down, calm down?
Guys.
I don't think he's going to have to do that this year.
God, I hope not. I really hope not.
Now, I'm curious about this because you guys know my rule with playoff brackets. I never bet against the Toronto Maple Leafs because one of these days I'm going to be right. So you know that I picked Toronto in this. However, I do say 7 games.
Oh, you think they're Game 7 in TD Garden?
I think they can do it.
Part of me
It's the way it has to happen.
Part of me is that's the way it has to happen. I've been telling everyone Leafs in 6. Just because,
Can you
literally just gut.
That would literally be our Stanley Cup right there.
Leafs in 6. Leafs in 6. Oh my God.
But what do you see going into this series? It's the tightest series of the first round, bar none.
So what they've been doing recently is posting the Leafs roster last year for games 4 to 7.
And a couple of those, isn't 1 or 2 of those games without Kadri?
5-7.
5 to
That's
7.
once they got Kadri back.
Okay. When they were playing Plekanec between Marner and
Marlowe.
Yeah.
And Bozak was the fourth line center.
So people on Twitter have been doing this?
Well, I think it was Myrtle.
Sorry, I just
Myrtle's
wrecked that for you. Please continue.
No, it's okay. The roster is virtually the same. A couple guys like Janssen and Marlowe changed lines.
And you got to remember, Janssen didn't play in the regular season last year.
No, because he was a new guy.
This is his rookie year.
Yeah. Kapanen and Nylander, I think, changed lines. But the big difference is take out Tyler Bozak and insert John Tavares.
Mm-hmm.
It's huge.
That's a huge difference.
Take out, I think it was Roman Polak, and insert Jake Muzzin. And so I'm of two minds. One, the Leafs almost beat the Bruins. Two, the Bruins almost won in 5.
That's true.
So I don't know.
The Leafs were also without their second best center for 3 games of the series.
And it was outrageous. Oh my God.
He made a bad choice. He deserved to be suspended.
He should have been suspended. 3 games is nuts. Nuts.
Especially after Brad Marchand speared a guy in the balls and got suspended until game 82.
Oh.
That's so funny.
Yeah, drove me nuts. The Leafs, I keep pointing out teams' record in their last 10. The worst, the least amount of wins any playoff team has in their last 10 is 3. The Leafs have 3. It wasn't good. They rested a lot of guys. They had guys who I think were capable of playing, and they just chose not to. If Freddie is good, not even at his best, but if he's, a 9-17, 9-18 goalie, the Leafs have a shot in this series, man. We have not seen their top 6 the way it was designed. That is both a disadvantage for the Leafs and for the Bruins. Leafs are playing with something they basically haven't used, but it's not like the team. The team has gotten used to Jake Muzzin. They understand how Jake Muzzin plays. He's been there long enough. Gardner just coming back into the lineup. Well, Gardner's been there since 2013. So they're not going to have to get used to them. So, yes. So if it's going to be a disadvantage for everyone, I'd say it's more of a disadvantage for the Bruins. The Leafs are an even deeper team, which was supposed to be their strength last year. Even deeper up front.
Yep.
They're so much better
They
down
are
the
deeper
middle.
on the back end, though. They are. The emergence of Dermott and the trade for Muzzin.
Char is a year older.
Yep.
Which is a factor.
We say that every year.
I know. I literally.
And then he just goes, my arm is 10 feet long. I'm going to poke this puck away.
My heart just simply says Leafs. Last year here's my past 2 bracket challenge videos. I said the Leafs will play the Caps, and they will fight valiantly, and they will lose. I think I might have even said 6. Last year, I said the Leafs and the Bruins. I'm going with my heart this time. The Leafs are going to beat Boston unless they cough up a lead in the 3rd period of Game 7. I said that almost verbatim.
Nice.
I just think they pull it off this year. Boston is not this ridiculous juggernaut. The beast bleeds. They could very well win the Stanley Cup. So could any team that makes it into the playoffs. The beast bleeds. The Leafs can win. Babcock needs to outcoach Cassidy.
And Cassidy outcoached Babcock last year. No question.
Yeah. Leafs set a record for road wins with 23. Boston only lost 9 games in regulation at home.
Whew.
Every game in Boston is going to be a war. The Leafs need to be better at home. And if they are, could do it. You got to take one of the first 2 in Boston, which they didn't last year.
And so your heart says Leafs, what's your head say?
Bruins, but because of the Leafs. Not because
they're a better team.
The Bruins are just this unbeatable monolith. Just the Leafs haven't played that great down the stretch. They don't scare me. I'm not like, how are they going to do this? I'm like, dude, if the Leafs play the way they're capable of, they win. Who's better on paper? It has to be the Leafs.
Well, it has to be. What's interesting is Bruce Cassidy's comments. It was very, very interesting because they are not dressing Bacchus for Game 1. Backes will not play.
He shouldn't.
Yeah, he's not good anymore.
Well, and isn't that fascinating? Because last year that was supposed to be. Yeah, I mean, we've seen the Shanahan Backes, you piece of shit. Like, remember he got yelled at somebody in the face.
Yep.
You know, we've seen that clip. Backes was a factor in the series a little bit last year.
He was.
Along that line with DeBrusk. DeBrusk was the factor. But the fact of the matter is, they're gearing up for the Leafs, and that. Bruce Cassidy's comment said a lot. I'm dressing my fast lineup. I'm dressing the lineup that will have speed. So that's interesting.
Do you remember back in January where he said it's difficult to keep up with today's high-paced game when he was healthy scratched?
It was Backes?
Backes?
Yeah.
Do you think he plays this series?
Yeah. Well, if the series goes in the Leafs' favor, ideally they get up, let's say 2-1 or 3-1 or something like that, or even if it's 1-1, you got to think Boston would think about, let's switch it up. I would assume, because it looks like Trevor Moore is going to be in the playoff lineup and Tyler Ennis won't, I would assume Ennis plays at least a game or two, because why not? Why not? You have spares.
And inevitably somebody will get injured. That just happens.
I think it's possible we see 7D.
And let's hope we never see the fourth line.
Let's hope we essentially don't see the...
Although I don't
fine
mind
with
them.
seeing the fourth line wingers.
Yes.
Honestly,
I am not against dressing 7D.
so you want Gauthier to be somebody that you used to know?
Oh.
Come on! This late in the show and he's still got it.
The
Still
prospect
got it.
of 7D and just running Matthews, Kadri, and Tavares out just 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3.
1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3.
It excites me so much.
Will he, though?
And if
That's my question for the two of you. Will Mike Babcock actually unleash these guys? Because the whole point of keeping them under 18 minutes was to get them ready for right now.
83.
Right now, 83.
83 yeah.
It's going to happen. Dude, the third pair, like the Leafs are just such an unknown. Like to even Leaf fans, the third pair is Gardner-Dermott. What? What are you talking?
Well, because it shouldn't be Gardner-Dermott.
No,
That's why.
This has got to be a masterstroke from Babcock, because it's going to be a lot of line juggling. Maybe you do that tactic and you have Kadri or Tavares or Matthews, doesn't matter, take a shift with the fourth line wingers. Riley Hainsey is not going to be the first pair every shift. I just don't believe it. It'll be Riley Muzzin or Riley Gardner or something. Like, he's not going to throw that lineup out there as it is, as it's written. No,
Really?
he's not. He won't. Babcock has earned that trust from me. Because
But based on what he's done,
yeah.
that's exactly what he did last year. So why would that change now?
No, last year he was a little bit more stubborn.
He was
I think.
hamstrung too.
Yeah,
But
he was a little bit more
why
stubborn.
do you think that this is going to be? I'm not convinced he's not going to run them out 18 minutes each. I'm not convinced.
I am.
Jesse?
I don't know.
And I love Mike Babcock.
I'm just waiting to see. I just don't know.
Isn't it so strange that like all we do is talk about Leafs and we're all like, I don't know. I don't know. Because we have not seen the team the way it's been designed.
It's like the Raptors. You haven't seen the team the way it's been designed. And
No.
they're second place in the East.
Yeah, the Raptors are in a very similar situation.
If Kawhi's playing, Kyle's not.
It's been 82 of, hey, let's just practice.
Yeah.
And let's wait till the playoffs, and then we'll run out what we need to do.
I hope the Raptors win. Because it would suck so much if they did all this shit and then they get stomped in the first round.
You play Kawhi 60, whatever, 50, whatever games, and then,
By the way,
he played that many?
Right.
It's so interesting because you could tell Sid Ciccarelli hates or doesn't like Kyle Lowry and his attitude sometimes. So yesterday he was talking about the fact that Kyle Lowry's got a bunch of bonuses that kick in at game 65. So he's got to play 65 regular season games, but every round he goes to with the Raptors, he makes an extra $200,000, and if he wins a championship, it's $200,000, and if he gets the All-Star, it's $200,000. So he sat out last night's game, and he's like, "Hey, Tim, you want to tell me what game that was for Kyle Lowry?" He's like, 65. Oh, no kidding. So he made it to 65, and he just happened to sit out. Interesting. He's like, I can't believe that. That must be fate. He's really funny about it.
Yeah, but like
That's awesome.
you got to keep your stars happy. You can't sit them for that game.
No, and also if you're going to load manage Kawhi like that, you kind of have to do it with Kyle too. Anyway,
my favorite story in all of that is still Jason Allison. He signed with the Leafs, $1.5 million. It's dick all, but he has a performance bonus of $1 million. So like he nearly doubles his contract, right? Performance bonus of $1 million. I think if he plays game 64, game 63, gets in a fight, breaks his hand,
Oh, no.
out for the season.
Dummy.
Do you run him out there with a broken hand for a minute?
If you're like,
If you're him, you should have.
if you're him,
You cast
you
it up?
shouldn't even ask for ice in the penalty box. Be like, it's fine. It's fine. It's $1 million.
Yeah.
Fake it for
Honestly.
a couple days. Like, dude, I would.
He's walking
Also, what's he
around,
doing
can't
fighting
pick up a
people?
cut. What?
Oh yeah, what a nut! Like, no, the dumbest thing ever. The dumbest thing ever. Yeah, I can't remember. I was talking to a former NHL player about that, and they're just like, "What an idiot!"
Yeah. Yeah.
Poor guy.
So, Jesse,
Leafs in 6.
why do
Yeah.
you say that? That's
Just-
a confident take.
As a Leafs fan, I'm not going to sit here and cheer against the Leafs.
And why
not
do you say
winning
in
this
6,
series.
though? You could have said 7.
In 6 because I don't want them to go back to Boston in Game 7 in TD Garden and
Purely
try to win a game. It's purely a Leafs fan on this one.
Yeah. Can we agree that this series is up to the Leafs?
Yes.
I can say that. Yeah.
I think
confidently.
I
I
think they
so.
have the better team. I think they have comparable goaltending. And if the Leafs just play as they should win.
It comes down to Mike Babcock's deployment of their top 3
Yeah.
centers. Sorry, that's what
And
it
them
is.
showing up.
Yes,
Like
and
you,
them
you
agree.
can't have Matthews showing up for half of the series and expect
right.
him to win.
Well,
And
and
it
he
looks
also,
like he's healthy.
He's healthy. He didn't have that. Remember, he had that shoulder injury in March.
Yeah.
yeah.
And then he didn't. And then I think mentally in a better place too, because he was obviously very pissed with Babcock at the end of the season. Maybe the pissed was mutual.
I forgot about
they
that
were-
whole mess in July when like all the reporters had gone away and there was all the extra reports about how
It
Babcock
sucked.
and Matthews weren't getting along and all that.
It was
I forgot
brutal.
about that.
It's you know what the series is sort of like a little bit. It's like our conversation about the Blues versus the Jets. If the Jets show up, that's their series. I'm just not confident they will.
The series is based on the Jets in that particular case.
Kinda.
Yeah, and then there's some series where it's like not. Where it's not. It doesn't hinge on the Lightning to beat the like the
Even if the
Lightning.
Lightning don't show up, they still might
They're
win.
probably going to win.
Yeah, the Lightning could really play mediocre and be fine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So interesting brackets, my friend. We'll save the. I mean, if you want to come and look up our brackets, feel free. But we'll save the second round for the second round.
Yeah.
Sure.
Does that sound good? Because there's no point in going through it any further.
Predict the fake teams that we think are going to get through. And yeah.
So now
Last
that we,
last year for the bracket, I went 6 of 8 in the first round, got 0 of the final 4.
yeah,
How did I even pull that off?
I was pretty bad last year too. But I was bad from the first round. At
Right.
least you made it through the first round.
But
on
you,
fire.
I think you were the only one of us who had Vegas. Or was that you?
No,
No,
Jesse had Vegas.
No, that was Adam.
Did I pick
Yeah,
Vegas?
yeah. I think
yeah,
Adam
you
had
did.
Vegas in the final.
What the fuck
It
was?
was you had Vegas, Toronto.
Oh, you know what? Maximum chaos.
Yeah. yeah.
And I did go maximum chaos with my bracket this year because I definitely picked for the conference finals Toronto, New York.
Islanders.
Yeah, because it
Dude,
could
it's
happen.
not impossible.
Like if Islanders play the Caps next, they could beat the Capitals. Absolutely.
them.
they
Islanders
Caps
could
in
beat
the
the
second round.
Penguins. They could beat the Caps. Leafs could beat the Bruins and have an entertaining ass series against the Lightning. But And then,
And I've Calgary, Winnipeg in the conference, and Toronto Islanders.
and you
Who's your
want to
Stanley
talk about
Cup?
two teams beat to shit too. Like by the time they meet each other.
Oh yeah.
Oh.
Who's your Stanley Cup champion?
I have the St. Louis Blues making it to the Stanley Cup final and losing to the Tampa Bay Lightning.
Toronto Maple Leafs. We will always be the Toronto Maple Leafs. I am not betting against the Toronto Maple Leafs. Thank you very much. I'm Adam Wild.
I
they
hope
beat?
you win.
The
I hope
Calgary
you win the
Flames.
bracket.
Yeah, I hope Adam's right.
Yeah. You had the Flames winning the cup.
Leafs Flames. No.
Oh.
Toronto Calgary play.
Oh,
Leafs win.
Oh my God,
Toronto.
Adam, don't you like this country?
That will split the country apart.
Oh my God.
Imagine the Eastern bias. By the way, did you find it weird that the Calgary Flames hype video had "You Make My Dreams Come True" as their song? Did you
No.
see that? The Flames put out, and it's like the Leafs goal song.
Oh yeah.
And then they shot a video, and the video was really cool. But it was like, why did you pick of all the songs?
Oh, I didn't
That's
even
the
notice.
song?
I think that's an example of the Leafs and Flames don't have a rivalry, so who cares?
Exactly.
Yeah, it'd be weird if the Sens.
If
did
the
that.
Leafs and Edmonton played in the finals, that I think might split the country apart. Leafs and Calgary, I think, would be pretty benign.
No, so Edmonton already hates Toronto, whereas Calgary, I never get a lot of blowback from
Calgary hates Vancouver.
Yeah.
Vancouver and Calgary don't get along. Calgary, Toronto's not that bad.
No, so once it happens though.
I think it might be Washington, Toronto, like level of respect. Hey, respect. You're
Not
here.
in the
We're
Stanley
here.
Cup final. F your respect. F your respect.
All right. Now,
The correct answer is Winnipeg and Tampa.
oh,
Stanley Cup
okay.
final.
Interesting.
Winnipeg
Winnipeg
Tampa.
wins.
Jesse's got some faith.
Winni-
Winnipeg wins.
Winnipeg's going to win the Stanley Cup.
Wow.
Canada breaks its drought of Stanley Cuplessness.
Oh,
This
the
year.
Line A with the cup pictures.
You know what? I want it to be the Leafs that breaks the drought. But if it has to be anybody else, I don't mind it being the Jets.
I do. I mind it being anyone but the Leafs.
It's got to be the Leafs. Now,
Underrated part, sorry, of the draft lottery yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
We get the 1, New Jersey, 2, New York. We have that rivalry. You know, there hasn't really
Quinn Hughes and whoever goes second.
no Jack
Sorry, Jack
Hughes.
Hughes.
Yes,
Quinn is in
we haven't
Vancouver.
really had that. The Taylor versus Tyler argument. That Edmonton, Boston, they never play.
Jack
Matthews
versus
versus
Connor.
Line A, they
Yeah.
play twice a year. This is divisional. It's great. I like it.
Okay, now I'm not sure how much time we're going to have for a press conference, but we do need to talk about
Not a
this.
ton.
The Oilers. Connor McDavid made some more comments this week. Get it right was the message. That's the basic message. You heard Bob Nicholson do his Bob Nicholson twirl and dance, which was, of course, yeah, that's great.
Yeah, nothing.
The
Big ol' pile
problem
of
here
nothing.
is that here's a pile of nothing, and here's a nothing
Here's
comment.
Word salad. Soup. It's nothing.
The problem here is that the Oilers have not named a GM yet. And normally this wouldn't be that big of an issue. Like last year, we didn't have a coach fired until literally after game 82.
Yeah.
But this year, it's a bit more of a problem. You know, I mentioned it before. There were 5 teams, now 4, looking for head coaches. The Oilers are one of them. And the problem is that the Oilers don't have the person in place to hire the head coach. They don't have a GM either. And they had a list of 30 people. Guys like Dean Lombardi, apparently they were linked to the Sens. Nope. I get the sense that Dean Lombardi doesn't want to come to Canada. And you don't have
Not to
any.
those teams.
You know, if the Edmonton Oilers had any major names, I would say like a Dean Lombardi or a Mike Fuda, who is the assistant GM in LA, who's supposed to be the next up and coming guy
Forever and ever.
If they had any of the big names that would be out there, it would have leaked already. And this is where I come to our boy NHL by Matty.
Yep.
Yes.
Jim Matheson, who gifted us
I got to stand for
Oh,
this.
gosh.
who gifted us something this morning.
Steve's going to be proud of the ratio on this
Oh,
tweet.
Let's
I
go.
bet it's going to be great. Now you're going to have to give me the numbers before we
Oh,
get into this
sure.
article. But Jim Matheson put out an article this morning that is just beautiful, and I'm going to contextualize this by saying we may have got Jim Matheson wrong. Jesse, read the title of the article, just the title.
Jim Matheson. Keep it in-house and give GM job to Keith Gretzky.
Yes.
Edmonton Journal, April 10th, 2019.
Now, I think we've got Jim Matheson wrong.
Oh.
Jim Matheson, if you're a fan of South Park, you know Professor Chaos.
Yes.
Jim Matheson
Has a tinfoil mask.
is low-key Professor Chaos, and maybe we just are seeing it now. Maybe Jim Matheson really just likes chaos, and this is what he wants.
Who's General Disarray?
That's a good question. The remainder of the Oilers media, general disarray. It's so good. It's
I like that.
shocking to me, but here we go. Now, this is one writer's opinion. However, Jesse, what's the ratio on this?
Currently, the tweet from @Edmonton Journal sits when they tweet out the title alone, keep it in-house and give GM job to Keith Gretzky, and then I'll link to the article. They have 187 comments, 10 retweets, and 31 favorites.
And I'm going to read you a DM that an Oiler fan sent me. This is so great. We're clinically insane over here, Adam. That is from an Edmonton Oilers fan. Family trees are good when sons want to follow fathers into the NHL as players. Not so much when you want to be a general manager, as Keith Gretzky is finding out. No matter how qualified Keith Gretzky might be for the full-time job with the Edmonton Oilers, he's Wayne's younger brother by 6 years. And I'm going to skip ahead. Here's what you should know about Gretzky. When pushed Monday about the trades Peter Ciccarelli made when he was fired, he spoke in the collective we, even though he wasn't around the team on a daily basis until January because he was out scouting kids for the draft. He didn't throw Ciccarelli. He didn't throw Ciccarelli, who often made his moves in a vacuum under the bus at all. He could have made himself He could have made himself look better in the GM job search, but didn't. That speaks to his character.
Oh my God.
But as qualified as he is, a grinder in the hockey business like Casey Cizikas on Long Island, starting as an amateur scout 18 years ago and knowing the organization better than anybody else.
I need you to read that sentence again.
But there's a lot. By the way, this is a comma splice. If anybody knows their grammar, this is a comma splice to the max.
Oh, no.
But, comma, as qualified as he is, comma, a grinder in the hockey business like Casey Cizikas on Long Island, comma, starting as an amateur scout 18 years ago, comma, and knowing the organization better than anyone else, comma, he has to fight for his own recognition in this GM job hunt because of the Gretzky name, comma, with other eminently strong candidates that OEG head man Bob Nicholson has embarked upon.
Oh my God.
That was one sentence. There's a lot of commas in that sentence. There's so many commas going on there. There's a slew of inviting current or former GMs. Bill Guerin, Kelly McCrimmon, Pat Verbeek, Norm McIver, Tom Fitzgerald, and Mark Hunter. Even one-time GMs like Mike Gillis, whom Nicholson says is on his radar. There's four-time Cup winner Ken Holland, if the Ilitch family decides they'd rather have Steve Yzerman run the show, but Holland has a job. Ex-Flyers GM Ron Hextall, who built a war chest of good prospects in Philly, but was fired because of inertia to trade someone for immediate help, might not have been contacted. With all these names, Gretzky is twisting in the wind, even though he has repeatedly said, "I know I can do this job."
Nothing, followed by nothing. A little bit of nothing. Here's the...
No, this is my favorite play. No, this is my favorite.
Oh, we're not done?
We're skipping. Oh, we're skipping ahead a little bit further. I want you to read the article for yourself. I don't want to spoil all the good stuff, but
No, give it to us.
I have known Keith in many capacities over the years.
There it is.
Said an unsolicited former Tampa GM, player agent, and hockey commentator. Who could this be?
Wait, sorry, say it again.
I have known Keith in many capacities over the years. Said an unsolicited former Tampa GM, player agent, and hockey commentator. And he climbed
Brian Lawton.
the ladder.
Literally, Brian Lawton. You should have just said the
He
name.
climbed the ladder to his present position. I can't say enough good things about him. He's diligent, thoughtful, and intelligent. Don't worry. He quotes. Brian Lawton tweeted that. He did. I withheld the name to see if you could know who it was. Brian Lawton, who is quite literally the worst. He's worse than NHL rumor specialist or whatever that guy's name.
Also,
Brian Lawton is smart insider man.
I spoke to one anonymous blogger I went to a club in Buffalo with, and his name is Jeff Ann.
He didn't
name everything about the guy.
Brian Lawton. No. He does mention Brian Lawton's name. I withheld that for you to see if you could guess who it was.
Okay.
No, he does mention. And that's a tweet.
He does say that.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Oh, Adam.
Well, I did that on purpose to see if you could guess.
Very funny.
Oh, holy shit. I thought he wrote that. I'm like, come on. Surely he's at least that good. Okay. Yes, no, Brian Lawton's been pretty interesting to follow.
He's not a sexy hire. Okay. He has the last name, but isn't coming in from another strong organization like, say, McCrimmon from Vegas or former Oiler Guerin, Jimmy Rutherford's right-hand man in Pittsburgh. But sometimes it's better to stay in-house.
Wait.
What time have they not stayed in-house? Remind me.
Wait. Yeah, first of all, there's that. Sometimes you got to do the same thing every time.
Which is the difficult thing, apparently.
Also, he didn't come from a strong organization, but also his track record's great. What? What are you talking about? Stop trying to make Gretz happen. Oh my God. I hope he gets the job and he's awesome.
I mean, listen, I think it is this article. You remember how we said word salad with Nicholson? This is a word salad article. This is a word salad resume.
Hire Keith Gretzky. That's what it should have been called.
And listen, none of this has to, he does make a good point, which is a fair point. Yes, Keith Gretzky is a Gretzky. And yes, he might be good enough to be an NHL GM. But if you're the Edmonton Oilers, groupthink is your enemy. Groupthink is the enemy.
And also your closest friend.
It's not the time.
This is not
It's
the
just-
guy. And
no.
Keith Gretzky's got to know that this is not the organization.
Yeah.
Because it's the optics. And you're telling me that Keith Gretzky is by far and away, because that's who Edmonton needs. They need someone
The
who's not
best
just
guy.
good.
The
They
best
need
guy.
the fucking best.
Yeah,
because this is going to
big old
be
bunch of money at him.
this is a magician's trick. They are not going to be able to pull this off easily. If you don't have someone who is unbelievable, you can't be average in Edmonton right now and keep Connor McDavid.
By the way, so his comments. This is where I thought you were going to go with this. If I didn't want to be here, I wouldn't have signed for 8 years.
Well, he signed after the playoffs.
Surely you would have just sat out and made nothing, Connor. Like, okay.
What choice did he have?
His comments were what? We need change, right?
Get it right.
We got to get it right.
And if I didn't want to be here, I wouldn't have signed for 8 years. Well,
Adam, you've been in a bunch of relationships. You ever had a girl go, listen, I love you, but this, and this has to change?
yes. Yeah, actually,
How'd that go?
my wife said that to me early on.
Oh, she did?
Absolutely. We had
Okay, so there's an example of it working. But the percentage isn't great. No. Percentage isn't great. Listen, it's conditional. All we've been saying is McDavid is going to eventually want out if they continue to suck, which, unless I'm much mistaken, is what he basically said. We need to get it right. I'm left with the assumption that if they don't get it right, he'll want out.
Yeah. And Elliot Friedman, I don't know how he gave Connor McDavid 2 years to put up with this crap. He's put up with it for 2 years. This is it, guys. The clock has already started. There are 360 days until Connor McDavid asks for a trade. It's happening. And if Keith Gretzky is the guy they hire, and this is no disrespect to Keith, these can both be true. Keith Gretzky can be qualified, even though he's got a Gretzky name.
Yes.
And he can also
Yes.
not be the right guy for this job.
Yeah.
Yes.
Keith Gretzky is not the right guy for this job in Edmonton.
I'm not
they need
convinced
someone
he's
to
the
come
best.
in and swing it around a little bit and say, okay, we're going to get rid of all these people. Here's the thing. Oftentimes, it's streamlining the process makes you far more effective. Having all the 80s Oilers there as advisors is a bad thing.
Yeah.
They're all sorry. It is, and if you say, well, they know so much more, they've forgotten more about hockey than you'll ever know. True, but what are their results?
Also, how can you hire from within if the organization within isn't working? You're
Exactly.
You're shuffling the pieces. Like, that doesn't make sense.
Yep, exactly. And this is the issue that they have. Keith Gretzky on his own could be a great general manager one day, and that's great. He is not the right person for the Edmonton Oilers. Because Keith Gretzky, here's the thing.
I just don't understand why they're convinced he is. Like, listen, he could be. We've been wrong on
Based
people
on
before.
what, though?
Also,
well, this is
he
the
drafted
thing.
Jake DeBrusk. Great.
Like,
We don't really know that they're convinced. Jim Matheson is, but we don't know that Edmonton.
Jim Matheson couldn't even
is.
explain why he's convinced.
Yeah.
also,
it speaks to his character that he didn't throw Ciccarelli under the bus. He doesn't need to. Ciccarelli threw himself under the bus.
people should be flocking to Edmonton, and they're not.
No.
They're not. Everyone should be tripping over themselves for the opportunity to manage Connor McDavid's team, to coach Connor McDavid's team.
They can't get out of this, though. They can't
need to get
wriggle
a
out of
GM
this.
first, because they're not going to get a coach until they get a GM. Mm-hmm. Because the coach is going to be like, all right, maybe I sign with this team because I'm allured by McDavid, and then I get fired the second the GM comes on board, or like after one season, because he's got to have his guy. And then the friggin' carousel of coaches continues in Edmonton.
He needs
brutal.
to literally, whoever the next GM needs, the next GM needs to be able to be. Remember what it was like when Mike Babcock walked in here after Peter Horacek? It was like, wow.
Did Dan Nana
That, yeah.
buy
It needs to be that. He needs to come in, and it's like you take those slings that people have, and just start whipping guys out of the organization. You're gone. You're gone. You're gone.
A slingshot?
Yeah, just gone. Gone. We are firing you all out of a cannon at once.
Like Dennis the
right
Menace.
at the walls of Byzantium. We are throwing you out. You're gone. And if Keith Gretzky gets this job, he will not have that power. Unless the person has that power and are empowered, and also, really, quite frankly, they're going to need someone with a reputation for doing this already, because they can't have some rookie come in and do this. They're just never going to give them the leeway to do it. It's done and it's over.
I'm trying to think of the candidate. I think the Leafs got it so right with Brendan Shanahan, and got it so right with Lou. You know, we gave Lou a
100%.
lot of shit. Lou did a great job in restructuring the culture.
Oh my
And
God, Lou
he-
was amazing.
He did a lot of things behind the scenes that he should get a lot more credit for. Edmonton needs that. Big time. Oh my God. Oh my God. This has been your every show Edmonton segment. Sorry, I thought that was the space for the press conference. Is that
No,
what that was?
that's it.
When
That's the
I
show.
saw your thumbs up, I was like, oh, I did good.
We're wrapping.
We're wrapping.
My thumbs up was that's the show.
What
ladies
was
and
more
gentlemen.
interesting to you? What was more entertaining? The bracket or the article?
I'm a big fan of the playoffs, so playoffs for me.
Jesse with the correct answer. But what answer felt right?
Let us know.
The article. No, the bracket.
Okay. Hey, we'll see you Friday, right?
Yep.
After the
yeah.
Leafs take on the
Oh,
Boston
God, I'm so
Bruins.
excited.
It's tomorrow. And hey, by the way, if you're a Jets fan, good luck tonight. Have fun.
Follow the guys on Twitter at Steve_Dangle, at Adam WYLDE, and at Jesse Blake.
The Steve Dangle Podcast. Brought to you by Panago Pizza. Order at panago.com and stuff your face with deliciousness.